She'll drive it and tie it up with a few seconds remaining.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Another shot fake. And the drive and the layup. And one for Jared Butler.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Here comes Butler. He's shifting. Look at that. Look at this.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Mitchell again won the drive. Outside Meyer. Kept alive by Flagler. And that's a three again by Butler.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Man, it seems like we haven't seen or heard, or you haven't seen or heard from us in a long, long time. Hope you enjoyed your time off, understood yesterday's meaning of Memorial Day, and welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak. Jared Butler, of course, making the decision to enter the NBA draft. I don't think that was a surprise. He did a year ago, and then he and Maceo Teague decided to come back, and of course, everybody, including the players, thrilled they did to win a national championship. He then says it again, and there will be an NBA Combine sometime at the end of this month, which will also have a lot to do with what Jared Butler does. But it appears that the way he wrote this particular decision, it's that he's gone. And we'll talk to Jared Butler, the former Baylor All-American. He'll join us, in fact, in about 10 minutes. Armstrong, Sims, Jack McKenzie run the mothership. Mavericks are in trouble, or are they? That's 2-2 after losing at home in games 3 and 4. Baylor track and field with a very successful weekend. Aaliyah Miller. She's one of the best in the world in the 800 meters, and she'll join us today at 4:20. Ashley Hodge and the Baylor men's basketball roster moving forward, and we saw a lot of videos of players, commits, football signees moving in on campus. Paul, what was the highlight of your weekend as far as what you thought was sports-wise as a story?
The Mavericks failing to put the Clippers away. I thought that was they go in, kind of in control. The Clippers come to Dallas and leave right where they kind of thought they'd be. So the series is back to even. I was kind of surprised. I thought the Clippers might have lost a little of their gumption, and clearly that's not what happened.
I wasn't surprised at all. I'm surprised they lost both games in Dallas, but, the Clippers on paper are a better team. They were a better team coming in, and the Mavericks shot lights out in the first two games. What did they not do in games 3 and 4? They didn't shoot well. What did they not do in games 3 and 4? They didn't play defense well. What did they not do in games 3 and 4? Didn't get a lot down low. So, when you're hitting shots in games 1 and 2 and you're high-flying and all that, it's all well and good. But that was one thing that was brought up after those wins was, can Dallas keep shooting that way? And they really struggled offensively. So they struggled defensively. So, yeah, they're in a pickle now because it's 2-2. What home court advantage they had earned is gone now. And, I think they've got a lot to figure out. And, we talked to Chuck Cooperstein about it after game 3. And I asked him, hey, what do you think they try and do differently? And didn't look like they did much differently on Saturday night because that was more of an ass-kicking than game 3 was, right? Because game 3, at least you were winning a good portion of that game. Game 4, you just got your ass kicked, all night. So, yeah, they're in a tough spot, and how they respond is going to be really pivotal. But I'm not totally surprised by the fact that they're in this situation.
Well, they are, and now Game 5 will be Wednesday. They do have time to let Luka maybe heal a little bit from what did bother him a little bit in Game 3 and obviously quite a bit in Game 4. But the Clippers appeared to be a team we questioned almost in a way. We questioned their toughness, their mental state. Baylor baseball does not make the NCAA tournament. I know there's a lot of ways you can look at who did, how many teams in certain conferences made it. They didn't take care of their business, even with some things that went against them. Disappointing that they're not in the NCAA tournament. You could see it. Coach Rod did a Zoom session last night. I was there to just kind of monitor part of it. And you could tell it was almost like he'd rather been at the dentist. Not because he was answering questions, but that's a disappointing. They had things happen, but a lot of teams did. Disappointing they're not in the tournament.
Yeah, and it's the way that They ended the season. They maybe just needed 2 more wins out of all of that, and did not get them. I mean, I don't think it's not like they needed to win the conference to get in or any of that a month ago. They just needed 2 or 3 more wins, and they probably would have been in. But they were clearly one of the first. I mean, to me, it was pretty evident they were probably one of the first teams that when they got to all 64, like they were between 65 and 68 probably of getting in.
They were right on the cusp, one of the first teams that was out. But, I was just counting it up here. In late April, they did some pretty amazing stuff out in Lubbock, going out and winning that series. And following that series, and I just had it in my head, but let's see, 1, 2, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 3-3, 4-3, 5-3, 5-4, 5-5, 5-6, 5-7. They went 5-7 following that Texas Tech series. So I know COVID came into play, injuries came into play, and those, did weigh in on, what happened with them not getting in. But however you slice it up, that's massively disappointing because you were in the tournament. Like, there wasn't a question about it 2 weeks ago, and they played so poorly and did just the absolute least amount that they could possibly do to kind of, put themselves in that position. So, there were some extra factors that, came into play, but at the same time, you just win a couple more games and you're in, and they didn't do that. So, I look at that mark, 5-7, 0-2 in the Big 12 tournament, all following that Texas Tech series win out in Lubbock. So, it is what it is. Unfortunately, this glamour year for Baylor athletics will not include baseball.
It will not include baseball. Softball went out quickly in the tournament. They didn't finish very strong either. We're going to hear from Jared Butler here momentarily. Liam Miller will join us at 4:20. No Mac Rhodes today. Liam Miller, because everything moved back from Monday to Tuesday this week. If there's anything in particular that happens, including if anything does happen with the latest involving the NCAA, which that day and time went and passed, and nothing did come out, no matter the reporting that said it would. If something does pop, then Mac Rhodes will be available to us at some point this week.
Not only did they not announce it on Friday, but 4 more days have gone by. The weekend has passed. The holiday has passed. It's Tuesday. It would be a perfect time in a short week to do it, and they still haven't done it. So, if you want to play the prediction game, then go right ahead. But that's not something I'm going to get involved in.
All right, let's get Jared, Paul. And again, Ashley Hodge is going to join us, one of the partners of SicEm365 Radio and SicEm365.com with Brian Etheridge and Colt Barber, and the umbrella of what we are and who we are. He's going to join us following our time with Jared Butler, and I had scheduled Ashley to come on at 3:30 because I want him to break down who's coming back, and is there anyone that Baylor has on their roster that actually might be looking to possibly go somewhere else. It's not too late to transfer. Is there anything? They've had the transfers. Kinjo's one of them, obviously the young man as well from Fairmont State, but is anything going the opposite direction, or is there any kind of speculation about that? And some of the speculation about Jared Butler, the NBA, ended yesterday when he declared for the NBA draft, 100% committed to go chase a dream. And Jared Butler, one of the great friends of this show, joins us with Paul Craig, David Smoak on SicEm365 Radio. I know you had to kind of take your time. There's a lot of things involved here. Jared, thanks for your time, first of all. Once you were able to kind of come to that decision, do you feel any sense of relief?
Oh, yeah, 100%. You know, it's been a lifelong dream. You know, it wasn't like, oh, like, you know, there's some doubt as far as the decision to go to the NBA. So you know, it's a lifelong dream. So I was super comfortable, no doubt at all, and you know, just excited.
How easy was it to make it? I mean, did you kind of think, well, maybe I could run it back one more year?
It was definitely easier than last year. You know, we had some things that we didn't accomplish. We had some things that, you know, we just weren't able to do. And this year, it felt like I kind of can't come back to Baylor in a way. Just because of all the things we've accomplished. You know, there's no other things in college basketball that you can do besides win a national championship, besides win the Big 12, you know, especially at, you know, so that was my rationale going into it.
Jared, just curious, like on the timing of it, why yesterday? Why was that the day that you decided to go ahead and make it public?
To me, it's a social media thing, and I kind of made kind of long before I released it out on social media. So it was just kind of, I don't know. I just felt like posting it on social media was just the last thing on my mind. And, I guess it did become kind of fun. People were just like, "Oh, is he going? Is he going?" And like I kind of already made up my mind. And so like it was just funny the last day of school. I mean, the last day of the deadline. So that was just kind of it for sure.
Well, it almost then, in a way, in a sad way, but yet in an exhilarating and memorable way, closes the door. 4 of you, Maceo, Davion, Mark Vital, and you now are on your way to the next level. What does that mean to you, especially since you guys ended the way you did with such an incredible, emphatic national championship?
Yeah, it was extremely special. I mean, I've never been a part of something like this. I mean, I've won state championships in high school. And, that's very historic and very, just exhilarating. But, like, winning a national championship with those guys, it was just like, man, like something I can never forget, something, the relationship is bonded together for life. And it just means so much. Like, it's really, really, truly, like, just special. So, like, I don't know any other, winning, I guess winning an NBA championship might be a little better, but I doubt that.
How did you guys build the bond between it, particularly the 4 of you that are leaving now? How did that bond build and stay so strong in a sport that sometimes it's not easy to build bonds about, who gets the ball more, who's the guy who takes the shot? And it seemed with this team that didn't matter. It was just who's open.
Yeah, I think as a team collectively, I think we've all internally. Not so much always out loud, but we all had this one goal that, no matter what, we had to win. If we accomplish our goals as a team, then all of us would individually receive, the goals that we wanted in our lives. And that was like a underlined, unspoken rule that we kind of had for the team. And for all these guys who, are all high caliber players, like that's a hard thing to do. Especially when you're talking about, just business and, making sure your stock rises and making sure you get where you want to be. Like, that's a hard thing to do, to humble yourself sometimes in different situations. And everybody on the team had to do that. And I think that just speaks to the character of all the guys.
Jared, you said you'd had your mind made up for a while. What was the conversation or the time like in telling Coach Drew and perhaps even the rest of the staff that you were you were sure about going the NBA route?
Coach Drew was definitely excited. He felt like Jared, I'm gonna miss you, but it's time to go. I guess so. Like they were all comforting and wanted me to go and go to the next step. So, they were all supportive 100%.
When you look at who Baylor has coming back, and they've added some more pieces to the puzzle to try to, it's going to be hard, almost impossible to replace some of what you guys brought to the table. But who's coming in. Who also waited their turn, who might now have more minutes. What are your thoughts about what they have coming back for 21-22?
Yeah, I think they have a great combination of talent and experience. Obviously, with the high-level recruits coming in, and I think that adds a little bit of talent. But I think the experience with, Jonathan, Flo, Matt, and Adam, that's going to be, unprecedented. And the guys that are coming in new, they're going to have to almost hold on to that and use that as a guidance tool throughout the whole process. And but at the same time, they're going to need talent. They're going to need guys to fill roles that they filled last year. And but I think we got a great combination, and I think just highly talented, high character dudes, and that's all you need. And a lot of guys also know what it takes to win. So I think they're going to be really good next year. I have no doubt about it.
Are there guys among that group that can step into the leadership roles that are vacated by the 4 of you?
Oh, for sure. I think Adam is going to be an All-American type guy. I think Jonathan is going to, go to another level. He just with his work ethic. I think Flo is going to become extremely high level leader. I think LJ is going to step up big time. Those are the guys I know for sure. And then you got guys like James Akinjo, who's experienced college player, who's going to be able to help fill in just productivity. And I think the freshmen can do a great job of just adding a different flavor to the team as well.
Jared, what has the NBA told you about your game? Have you had a chance to kind of nibble a little bit? I know you had to get some feedback from them a year ago. What have they told you, if anything?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for them was the fact that, I went back to school and I worked on all the things that they said I need to work on. You know what I mean? They said I need to increase my shooting percentage and, what I shoot from the floor. They need to I need to be better at defense. I need to become more athletic. And I think I've worked well in all those facets of my game. Like I won all Big 12 defense. I've dunked more times than I ever did. I didn't dunk before. I'm dunking, down the lane. And, my shooting percentages was 47% from the field. Like all those things was things that they wanted me to work on. And, they were just, the fact that I did that was something that they were really intrigued by. For sure. The
NBA Combine, I believe, is the 21st to the 26th. What else do you think that they're going to want to know about you?
That's a great question. I think maybe just want to get to know me a little more, just as a professional. And I think that's probably the biggest thing they're probably looking forward to.
When you look at your career, what else could you have accomplished other than winning 2 in a row? Really,
yeah.
All the awards, all the things. I know it wasn't Player of the Year, but you were in that conversation. What else could you have accomplished that you didn't?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, I don't think there's anything else. Yeah, and besides that, like, I think the relationships I have with the team and my teammates is just like I don't think it could have got any better than that. That's why it's so easy to make this decision. And man, it's just I'm just so lucky that I had this situation in my life. You know what I mean?
What are you going to miss the most about Baylor and Waco?
I love how different Waco is and how people are just like, oh, what's down there in Waco? Like, what's so special about Waco? Like all y'all are just a bunch of Christians down there in that little bubble of what's so special about it. And, for me, it was just a place where I was able to grow, as a man. And like, I felt like everybody in the community was supportive of that. I think the team obviously was just phenomenal, but just the whole place in general, it was a place where I can grow, substantially. And it was just a place I can always call home. So that's what I'm going to miss the most.
Jared Butler, I hate to say that, former Baylor All-American guard with us on SicEm365 Radio.
Jared, when we talked to Davion a couple of weeks ago about his decision, I'd asked him about, coming back on campus and how important that was for him to be around the way that we know a lot of the other veterans when you guys were playing were around y'all as well. Is that important to you to give back to the program and be around when you can be around?
Yeah, I think so. I know just from a player's point of view, knowing that the guys that were there before you genuinely care about your success and genuinely care about your improvement, like that did a lot for me. Like Tweety Carter, Tall T, those guys were that for me. And, that just creates a better conducive environment for life. Like, just people that care about you. And, for me, I'm always going to care about Baylor's success. Like I'm, try to watch as many Baylor games as I can. And, I'm a Baylor guy for life. So like anything I can do to help the success of, Coach Drew and the staff and the team, like that's what I'm willing to do just because of how special it was for me. So like, I want to pass it on. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's awesome that it's kind of giving back. Now, when you look at the names of players in Baylor men's basketball history from back when they were even a team that got to a Final Four in the late 40s, they've had others, though. Vinnie Johnson, Terry Teagle. There's a lot of guys that are spread out throughout the NBA or playing overseas in Europe. Does not include Davion Mitchell, Maceo Teague, Mark Beidel, and Jared Butler. Do you think much about where you guys are or where you individually are among the greatest players in Baylor men's basketball history?
That's a great question. Do I think about it? The first thing that comes to mind in our practice, and there's like a wall of people that, been drafted. And then there's this pitcher like Vinnie Johnson and Isaiah Austin and Torian Prince, their picture of them getting drafted. And that's the first thing that comes to mind because I remember days in the practice and looking at them being like, yeah, that's where I want to be. And, it's just a cool thing to, say like, I'm headed in that direction. And so yeah, I think about it a little bit, but I think even more so, like, I want to be one of those guys that a player can call and give advice. You know what I'm saying, about the next steps, about what to worry about and what to not worry about. So that's my thing.
Jared, when you moved from Alabama, when you transferred from Alabama to Baylor, Baylor gave you an opportunity. Alabama wasn't ready to do that. Have you talked much about what the NBA has said to you about your health and clearance?
Yeah, I would just I would say yeah, and I'm feeling 100% comfortable with what's going on, and yeah, that's about it.
Well, when you look at what you've accomplished, you've proven a lot of people wrong. You said when you arrived on campus you weren't sure whether or not this team could ever play, although the dream was to play for a national championship. How do you describe now you're to this day what you've been through?
How do I describe it? When people talk about like success stories and winning, big things and winning Super Bowls and winning, NBA championships, like, I think like now, like I can consider myself in that category. Like I feel confident enough and confident in my abilities as a person and as a basketball player to be a part of something special. I have that DNA in me to be a part of something that's greater than me, to impact people all across the world. And so like that's now what I can think about and reflect on, is how special that I can be and how much impact I can make on the world. And I think that's what it's all about. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. How much did it help that you also then were asked to even represent athletes around the country in the NCAA with what your experience was like?
Yeah, that was a big honor too. And, I think hopefully what I put into place and my voice in that committee was headed in the right direction, whatever I said. But that was also a big honor too. And, it's something I can see myself doing and something I feel like I can do just because, I'm around it and I hear the opinions and I know what it's like.
What will you do the next time you see any of the coaches that help you get to where you are today?
It's always a big laugh and big hug. And, we're a big hug team. And that's about it. And then more than likely 100%, we're going to talk about the national championship, and then they're going to talk about how much we miss each other, and that's something that binds us together. So I think that's for sure going to happen.
Jared, if you don't mind, to wrap it up with this, do you understand what you mean to Baylor overall, to Baylor Nation, what you guys set? Not just the championship, yeah, that was the icing on the cake or whatever you want to say, but do you understand what you guys meant to that university?
No, I don't think I'll ever be able to grasp it for sure. But I do, appreciate the words of just overall, just great role model, things like that, great ambassador, great representative. Those words kind of mean a lot more, and I think that can stick to me a lot more just because, you want to be a good influence. You want to be a great influence to people. And, that says a lot to me, and I don't think I'll ever grasp it. Us winning a national championship, all that stuff, but hopefully, us being great people would last more. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. What will it be like when your name is ever introduced, or when it's introduced as a guy playing for somebody in the NBA?
That would be crazy, lifelong dream. Like I said, it's just amazing, and it'll just give me an opportunity to take care of my family. Play the game I love as an occupation. That's what people dream of doing. And, it's just my job to make sure I take the most out of the opportunity and, just be grateful every day because it's something that I've worked for. It's something that I've, put the time in to do. And it'll be bittersweet for sure because, it's like, dang, I get to the NBA, like, oh, I hear my name called, but I still have a ton of work to do. But I just can't I'm looking forward to it. And, basketball has just been so tremendous to me. So.
Yeah. And you've been tremendous to basketball. Go live that dream, Jared. We appreciate you so many different times. Hope to get you again a little bit later on, but go live the dream. Congratulations on your decision and go get what else is in your life. No, I appreciate it. And I thank y'all for being so, just great reporters. There's a lot
with bad ones. And thank you all for being the good ones and having me on and encouraging us and covering us. So I appreciate that a lot, you know.
Thank you. You have been accessible. That means a lot. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Jared Butler, headed to the NBA. Man, he answered a lot of different questions, some about the championship, some about the future, some about in between, some about it took long before the last day and social media and how that was a part of it, about the family of Baylor, the coaches, the players, who's behind, who's coming back, who's coming in. Jared Butler. And now with Davion Maceo, Mark Vidal, and Jared Butler on their way to the next level, which is not a surprise. You knew that was coming. Who's coming in? And we know the names, but how do you mesh them together? By the way, if you're in the premium section of SicEm365.com, Jason King has done an interview about, is Jared Butler the best player to ever play, the greatest player to ever play at Baylor men's basketball? You could put only a handful of names in that conversation.
Armstrong may correct me. I don't know how much he actually listens when he's recording the podcast, and I don't mean that as a slight. I just know that, you could tune out. But am I wrong in saying that Grayson has argued for Jared Butler being the greatest Baylor athlete of all time, like in general? Do you recall hearing that? Because I feel like I've heard that a couple times from Grayson, unless I'm just completely misremembering, but I feel like he's put up a fight for Jared Butler as the greatest Baylor athlete ever. And so I might need to text him to make sure, but I feel like he said that more than once. So, and you can make a case for it, I think. You can make an argument.
When I put the guest lineup up, it did not include Jared Butler. And then we got together, he and I, and he said, I can do 310. And then Ashley comes on and now kind of rehashes or digests what's going forward. And then Ashley, when I added Jared Butler, revised the title, put me in between two of the best Baylor athletes of all time, shake my head, because Aaliyah Miller is Michael Johnson and Jeremy Warner among some others. She is in that conversation for what she's done in track and field as she heads to nationals. She'll join us at 4:20. All of that and more. SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street. Look, if you were looking for some craft beer for your Memorial Day barbecue and didn't go to Riverbend Liquor and Wine, you missed out. If you were looking for their single barrel release of Balcones and didn't go there, you missed out. But guess what? They still have it. They didn't just shut up shop because of Memorial Day. But if you are looking for great craft beer selection, great selection of spirits, great selection of wines, customer service that is second to none, convenient, speedy drive-through window, Riverbend Liquor and Wine has that all, and it's absolutely fantastic. Everything that they do there, they're just the best. I mean, if you're looking for something and you can't find it, or you kind of know, or maybe it was regional somewhere else you wonder where you can get it here, or you have questions, believe me, they'll be able to answer almost all of them because they know their stuff at Riverbend Liquor and Wines. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street, a hidden gem in Waco. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Pay over qualified buyer with $4,000 down to 2.9% TCNL extra. See deal for details.
Travel is back, and so are the savings of the Memorial Day savings event at Richard Carr. Save $5,900 on 2021 Buick Encore. Drive off in the affordable luxury of a Buick Encore for as little as $258 a month. Or vacation in the spacious comfort of a 3-row Buick Enclave and save $8,500. 100% credit approval is always our goal. It's the Memorial Day savings event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott at edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, here we go. 3:32 is the time. Leah Miller, by the way, on BaylorBears.com, a Champions Tribune. Written by her and kind of to her and what she's done, and we'll have her today at 4:20 as she was dominant in the 800-meter, also a part of the 4x400 for Baylor track and field over the weekend, headed to Eugene, Oregon. Ashley Hodge, he's one of our basketball experts. He's one of the partners, but also keeps very much in touch with men's basketball. He joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Ashley, we just had an opportunity to talk to Jared. That decision final. In the end, Butler, Mitchell, Teague, and also Vital. Before we break down the upcoming roster, your thoughts about what those four accomplished?
Historic. Couldn't have been four higher character guys. Just, the way they played, the competitiveness. I think if there's one word to describe all four of those guys, just ultimate competitors. Those guys just really brought it every day, and you got no off nights except for the opponents playing against Davion Mitchell, obviously. But just love everything that those four represented, for Baylor, and just the efficiency, the competitiveness, and just ultimately, what were they, 52-6 or something along those lines? Just incredible production those last 2 years for all four of those guys.
Well, and you'd like to say clutch, but actually, if you really look back over the last 2 years, they didn't ever really need to be. I think that's even more important, that they were when they had to be, but very rarely did they ever have to come through in the clutch. They were usually well ahead by clutch time.
Yeah, it's a great point. You think back to Jared Butler's freshman season, and there were a lot of times where he, made key buckets down the stretch to win Baylor games, but he just didn't have that opportunity very much, the last 2 years. And I just did the math in my head. It was actually 54-6. But you're right. Most of those games were blowouts. There were some close games more so last year than this past year. But very few 1 possession, 2 possession games down the stretch, because they just had commanding leads at the 4-minute mark. And that's just a tribute to how great these guys were and how great those teams were.
Ashley, I know it's just the decision that was made today, but we kind of know this could be coming. Where do you rank some of these guys, Davion and Jared in particular? I mean, Vital, though, too, as far as all-time Baylor greats, those who have passed the Tweety Carters and so many others. Where do you kind of place these guys in your mind?
They're up there. This is not to rag on Grayson or other people that rank these guys, but I hate ranking basketball players and football players as to who's better than one another because it's such a team game. Baseball is a little different. I think baseball is more of an individual game, and you can look at stats, you can look at production, and you can rank the all-time greats. But, for every Jared Butler, you got to have a Flo Thamba and Jonathan Chamo-Chachua setting those screens and making things easy for the guards. And for every great quarterback, you have to have a great offensive line. So I'll just say, Vital, his contributions are not unnoticed. Maceo Teague, he's a guy that had to take a little bit of a back seat as to handling the ball and being the focus. But every time you needed a clutch basket, he was there, and his endurance at the end of games was incredible. Mm-hmm. So I put all four of them kind of in the same category, and they're at the upper echelon of, top 20 players in Baylor basketball history in my mind.
All right, so let's discuss now who they are moving forward. They have the incoming freshmen that they locked in a long time ago. Yes. Langston Love, obviously Kendall Brown, and then Jeremy Sohan, and they're now here. Then they have the Akinjo, I went with young man from Fairmont State.
Dale Bonner.
Bonner. We've interviewed all these guys. We've gotten to know them almost before they've ever stepped on campus and what they have coming back. Yes, there's the Matthew Meyer decision. But your thoughts about who they have, is this still an opportunity for a team, if things can mesh, to compete for a national title?
I think so. I think they're more athletic than even this past year's team. And I know that's crazy to say that. I mean, this team was very athletic and just won a national championship. They don't have the experience. They don't have the savvy and perhaps not the competitiveness. And those are huge things. And it may result in a final result that's not as thrilling and doesn't reach the echelon that this last team reached. But from athleticism, I mean, this team's incredible. Kendall Brown, athleticism through the roof. Jonathan Chamo-Chachua, another year of him in the weight room working on his game. I mean, that's scary. Jared Nunes said on a podcast I did with him recently, he was making 75% of his open threes right now. So if he adds that to his arsenal, that's a big thing for him. I talked to Jake Lindsay in Indianapolis, and he told me, he said, man, Flo Thamba and Jonathan just need reps. He goes, they didn't get those summer reps with the guards and just repetition. He says, summer of getting that, he goes, those guys are going to take big leaps. And how can you bet against Scott Drew teams as far as the development of big men? So I think it's a pretty exciting team on paper from an athleticism standpoint. I'm assuming that Matthew Meyer returns. James Akinjo, that joker's quick. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Curtis Gerald. He's a competitive guy, all Pac-12 first team. He's going to bring a lot to the table. I think Adam Flagler is going to be an all-conference player. I think Jonathan is going to take a huge jump, and then these freshmen are really, really good. I mean, this is the three best freshmen that we've ever signed as a group, and I think they're going to really contribute a lot to the team.
Ashley, I want to talk about Flo Thamba for a second. Mark Vital told us last week that, and of course he had his best game of his career was in the national championship game, and that he leaned in and actually said words, said, let's kick their ass in the huddle before Gonzaga, which nobody had ever heard him speak before at that time. He did have his best game in the national championship game. How do you expect to see his game grow? I mean, not so much change because you are what you are, especially when you're as tall as he is, but how do you expect to see his game adapt to the new roster?
I mean, he showed me some things this year I didn't think he had. I thought he would be a great pick setter, offensive rebounder, shot blocker, rebounder, but he has a pretty nice touch on his shot. His free throw shooting really improved as the season went along. And the thing that he did a great job of is moving his feet on ball screens. In today's college basketball, NBA, you have to be able to switch ball screens and guards. And I thought he and Jonathan both did a great job of that. So I think he's an extremely valuable player. There was a clip on Twitter of Famba that was like a minute of him just sealing guys that allowed Davion Mitchell and Jared Butler and Macio Teague to get open layups at the rim, and just being able to hold like a post position to where, it frees up open lanes for the guards. There's so many little things like that just probably go unnoticed by the average fan. But I think, he's going to he just needs to finish around the rim better. He needs to keep his balance, and he needs to do a better job, I think, of blocking and affecting shots and be a 2 blocks per game guy. And I think he definitely has that in his potential to really grow in those areas this year.
Transfers were a part of the reason why this Baylor roster was able to kind of age, gracefully, because guys were having to sit out. So a lot of depth was built up. I know, Ashley, that it appears they're going to have depth, but are they going to be able to still kind of, have guys to the side, hold them back, so to say, redshirt, if you will, the same way they were able to maybe the last couple of years?
Well, I think that's the plan with Dale Bonner. Dale, he has that expectation. He's stepping up a level. So I would love to see his development kind of track what Adam Flagler's development, tracked as he sat out a year. Davion Mitchell, Macio Teague, obviously, as well. I think that he's going to be a guy that's going to be kind of that redshirt guy, but he can play. Now, he's eligible to play. He's got 3 years of eligibility, and I think he's going to be that 5th guard this year. The other guy to take kind of keep an eye on, the 2 bigs, I think, Zach Loveday and Dane Danger both have their redshirt year still available to them because, last year was a free year with COVID, and Dane Danger broke his foot in the spring. So he could be a guy that, because of breaking his foot, maybe needs some time to recover, maybe potentially, 1 more year sitting out, although, he's not a guy that I think will stay all 5 years. He's too talented. I think he's going to be a pro prospect before that then, so you might as well play him if he's available. But Zach Loveday would be another guy to continue to gain strength, and I really think both those guys are going to be great as upperclassmen, but they're probably guys that are more like those redshirt candidate types that could just use another year of development.
So you mentioned Dane Danger. What is his status? Did I read something that you were mentioning, something he's having to overcome, an injury or rehab or recovery? Is everything good with him?
Yeah, broken foot. He broke his foot, I think, in practice, and I don't know the timetable for when he returns, but I'm assuming, just like any injury, just not being able to practice with the team this summer and miss a lot of summer development, I think is going to set him back a little bit. But he's, 7'7" wingspan, incredible hands, incredible footwork, really a great pick setter. Everything I've heard about his work ethic has been great. So I think he's a guy that Baylor fans are going to be really excited about in the future.
Do you expect all 3 of the recruits to play?
I do. I think that in my mind, I think that your top 3 guys are going to be, from a scoring perspective, are going to be Matthew Meyer, James Akinjo, and Adam Flagler. I think Jonathan Chachua is a real potential all Big 12, maybe even all American player, and maybe a double-double guy. So there's your 4th scorer. I think Flo's going to, see big improvement. I expect LJ Cryer to play a big role. And then after that, obviously Kendall Brown's a 5-star. I know Jeremy Sohan, his skill level's through the roof. And Langston Love, I think, is going to be heavily in the rotation at guard. So if one of those guys can produce at a high level, then you've got something pretty special. But I do think all 3 of them are going to play.
All right, so do we have time to kind of go over the who does what, where, and when?
Sure.
As far as so LJ Cryer.
Yep. Well, LJ is the guy that can score the basketball easily. And, I think even against Davion Mitchell every day and Jared Butler, I was texting with his dad this past week, and his dad said, he got better. He got better. He got stronger. This was really good for him to go against those guys and practice every day. And, I expect, the games may be easier for him than what he's used to, going against Davion Mitchell every day. So I think that, he's going to be a guy that's going to be ready to play a big role. You never know, because until a guy does it at this level, you just can't say for sure that he can do it, but he shows a lot of good signs. The quickness is there, the ball handling. I think he's a good passer. We obviously saw glimpses of how good that jump shot is. And when guys get in at the end of games and only get a minute, sometimes it's just really hard to judge, their talent level. But all the feedback I get on him is really positive from practice. So that's the first one. Who else?
Okay, so let's just go position. I won't say the name. You can tell. Okay, point guard. You mentioned L.J. Cryer. Give me that depth chart, knowing that some might play two guard or whatever as well.
Yeah, well, I think James Akinjo is going to be the guy that's on the ball the most. He averaged 5.5 assists for Arizona, 16 points. He's a good 3-point shooter, 41%, good foul shooter, gets to the line a lot. Shot more free throws than any Baylor player last year. So he's a guy that you're going to see at the foul line quite a bit, and he shoots it well when he gets there. And then, I think he's an excellent, just has a great feel for the game. Really competitive kid. He's from Oakland. He's got a lot of dog in him in a good way. And I expect him to be an all-conference caliber player. So I think he'll be on the ball a lot. I think Adam Flagler will take obviously a huge role as that scorer, kind of the Jared Butler role. And we know what a great shooter he is. He's also got a good floater game, mid-range. He can drive it. He handles the ball really well. Great free throw shooter. So I expect him to be a double-figure scorer. And then after that, I think you got L.J. Cryer and Langston Love as the two guards that will get a lot of time with Dale Bonner, being the fifth guard. That's how I would project things. Something that's interesting to note, I watched L.J. Cryer and Langston Love quite a bit in the summer of 2019 when they were both on the Houston Hoops team playing AAU basketball. And they made a Final Four run to the Peach Jam, which is the highest level at the Nike EYBL. And both are outstanding players. LJ was coming back from an injury, so he wasn't 100%. But Langston Love was the leading scorer on that team. He averaged over 21 points a game, very efficient, was able to drive smaller players to the hoop and get baskets in the paint, good 3-point shooter. I think, we're going to be really excited about him. I think he told you on your radio show that he had a 6'8" wingspan. He's about 6'4". So he's a guy that's going to bring a lot to the table. But those are the guards. And then on the wings, obviously Matthew Meyer is expected to be the star player, if he comes back to Baylor. And then Kendall Brown, huge upside. Jeremy Sohan, another guy that's, kind of in that mold of versatile wing that can switch 1 through 5, can guard point guards, can guard bigs, just an incredible skill set. And, just has a great feel for the game, high basketball IQ. And then Jordan Turner, we don't know really what to expect from Jordan because we haven't seen much of him in game situations. But he's improving. He's got a 7-foot wingspan. He can shoot threes. He's a good offensive rebounder. So it'd be kind of interesting to see, if this is a year that he has kind of a breakout year and maybe becomes that second wing, alongside Meyer. You always think the freshmen are going to, bring a lot more to the table than sometimes they do. And, just remains to be seen, how they can adjust to this level. So we'll see. And then in the post, Thamba and Chamba Chachua are the two guys that I think are going to gobble up the most minutes. And then behind them, you've got Zach Loveday and Dane Danger. So I think we're pretty, it's a very complete team. You've got, great guards, you've got great wings, and you've got two really good post players who are still improving a lot. And I think are going to take big leaps this summer at Thamba and Chamba Chachua.
It looks as if the cupboard is not bare. Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate that. Appreciate your time. Ashley Hodge, one of the great partners of SicEm365.com and also men's basketball. Jason King does a lot. Grayson, we do a little bit as well along the way. Colt throws some things in. Brian, of course, as always, it's an amazing staff without question. All right, we come back to wrap up this 3 o'clock hour. I can't wait to have a chance. Aliyah Miller, she dominated this past weekend in the 800. Won by a couple of seconds, set a facility record, headed to Eugene, Oregon, also a part of Baylor Women's 4x400. Her story and what she's had to overcome at times as well. And then also David Hellman, John McClain, and more. Craig's Off the Radar, SicEm365 Radio. I don't know about you, but hopefully you fired up the grill. And if you did, I hope you got the product from Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive, with what the Bauer family, of course, has done, produced, and, of course, what they do every single day that they're open, Monday through Saturday, to give you the best when it comes to beef, pork, poultry, and also seafood. I had a bone-in ribeye. Maybe you had hamburgers or hot dogs or brats or whatever it was, or maybe you had a prime rib, or maybe you cooked chicken on the grill. Possibly whatever it was. I bet it was good if it came from Waco Custom Marketplace. And they also, if you want, when it comes to what you need to cook on the grill or elsewhere, they have the charcoal you want. They have pellets for the smoker. And then also up and down the aisles, they have what you also need from the everyday items, whether it's maybe even something that might be just ketchup or mustard or mayonnaise, or maybe a bag of chips. Cold beer and wine when you walk in the door to the right-hand side, along with some other soft drinks as well. And even, of course, if you want customized cut steaks like I like, when they are 1 1/4 inch thick or more for bone-in ribeyes and bacon-wrapped fillets. Waco Custom Marketplace remains where you can call before 6 o'clock Wednesday to order 30-pound sacks of crawfish for your crawfish boil. Pick it up anytime after Friday at 2 or on Saturday at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Allen Samuels is holding the Ram Spotlight Sales Event on the new 2021 Ram Lone Star Crew Cab trucks at Allen Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year is built to serve. Right now, get total values up to $6,750 for 0% for 72 months. Great opportunities during the Ram Spotlight Sales Event at Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco. Come and see the Ram Lone Star Crew Cab. The Ram Spotlight Sales Event won't last long. Visit Allen Samuels today or online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The Sic'em365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, a couple of notes to wrap up this 3 o'clock hour. John Rothstein promoted this earlier today, the Big East and Big 12 battle. Villanova will play at Baylor. Not sure about the dates and whatever else, but that's one thing. Also,
missed a much better matchup, but that's okay. Villanova, Kansas would have been far more of a game that would have made sense for next season. I mean, Baylor's losing 4 guys. It's kind of like you win the national title and you get all. It's like BYU. They got or maybe that's probably not a good comparison, but it's like you get all hyped up to play a team in a couple years, but that team's not exactly what they were when you first scheduled them or whatever. So Baylor. I mean, they're still going to be good, but I think that Kansas is like loaded for bear, and that and Villanova to me would have been a great game. They also avoided Shaka and Texas playing each other, which.
Of course they did.
Yeah, if that was Baylor, I guarantee you 100% Scott Drew and whatever team he was coaching would be playing Baylor. I guarantee you he would. But, yeah, they had that right there in front of them and totally whiffed on it.
Baylor, softball. The girls are playing, in fact, about the first pitch down in the state championship. They're playing West Sabine, Weimar, and Stanford in the other semifinal in Class 2A. Good luck to them. The winners will play tomorrow night for the championship. We'll update you on that if we can get it before we go off the air. And then Bosqueville came back to win 2 of 3 against Windthorst. They'll play Lindsay in a 1-game playoff on Thursday, 7 o'clock. That's this Thursday, 7 o'clock at LD Bill High School up in Hearst. And MCC now gets to sit back, relax, and wait throughout the day for the winner between Central Arizona San Jacinto for tomorrow night. They are in the winner's bracket. They're 2-0. At the National Championship Tournament in Grand Junction, Colorado. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Richard.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
After winning the Big 12 regular season championship on Tuesday, oh my, a hammer from Butler.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, so Aaliyah Miller at 420, 800 meters. She's headed to Eugene, Oregon, along with the women's 4x400. What a nice weekend for Baylor men's track and also women's track. So I want to get into this story about Naomi Osaka. She has about 2 years ago, it was during a tournament or in a media session where you could tell that she really was struggling with a lot of things. Winning, she's of course elite, but she was struggling. She withdrew from the French Open and said wants to take some time away from tennis. She also, and about media obligations, she also made it clear she did not want to become, although it was too late, a distraction for the tournament, for the other players, and she will be a part of the everyday conversation. She's one of the favorites. She's that good. So, you know, mental health is something we've discussed. We've discussed it with numerous different players, athletes, coaches, whoever, personalities on this show. We've discussed it with ourselves. But this is something where, man, you got to make sure she's fine. She's got to get right. However, having said that, the connection from sports to fans is, I understand, television, radio, internet, YouTube, app, whatever, Hulu, Amazon. But there is a responsibility, is there not?
I think, and I thought about this a lot, because I agree with your initial sentiment of, You're mad about press conferences. I get that they can be annoying and tedious, and you know, not everybody asks good questions. Like, look, we've all sat through 1,000 of them. I mean, it happens all the time. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, sometimes they just are. But if I'm the French Open, and this is where they messed up, and she is coming in, you know, with this issue with the press conferences, I would have been concerned from the start. But they took it as diva athlete stuff and not something's going on here in that she doesn't want to sit here for 10 minutes and talk about how she plays. You don't win all that. Like she struggles at the French Open, I know, but like she's going to win more than she loses. So, you know, what's the issue here? I would have been more concerned about that. And then not only did they kind of double down on her punishment, even if she had a request, then the other Grand Slam like brought everybody else into it and kind of piled on her without asking, well, this is kind of odd. Like it just kind of reacted and didn't ask. I think that's where they made a mistake. But because to me, it would concern me if an athlete was that against a press conference, knowing that, look, that's just part of what you do. You know, like that would have set off the alarm bells, but it didn't for the French Open, and that's why we're in this spot.
Yeah, I guess my first thought is I really don't, like, I know people probably tire of me saying this sometimes, but I'm just being honest with you. Like, I do not have some extreme reaction to this, like a lot of people seem to, of like digging the heels in of like one way or the other. I mean, if that's her decision, great. Doesn't change my life in any way, shape, or form, and I hope her mental health struggles do improve because clearly she has issues. I mean, this is not, she's brought it up, she's talked about it a lot, and it's good to have somebody of that caliber that is talking about, you know, experiencing those things so that people who aren't Naomi Osaka or LeBron James or Kevin Durant or whoever know that, hey, they're just like me, and that's kind of the appeal for us normal people out there. So, yeah, mental health is absolutely important. But, at the same time, if not for the media, I would have no idea who Naomi Osaka is.
Exactly.
I would have zero clue. I wouldn't know what she looked like. I wouldn't know what she sounded like. I wouldn't know about her mental health. I wouldn't know how good of a tennis player she is. I wouldn't know anything about her because I'm not a hardcore tennis fan. So if you take away the media from covering Naomi Osaka, then I can't imagine how the fan base grows. And, particularly for women athletes, the WNBA has been very outspoken about the lack of coverage and compared to their male counterparts. Really, they're complaining about the money, which, then, get the viewers. Get the viewers and get the sponsors and do all that. Now, there needs to be, a bridge from the men helping them. And they've brought light to that, and that's great. And that does need to happen. But at the same time, I don't know how doing less is going to put more of a spotlight, although this has put quite a spotlight, but not for the right reasons on women's tennis. So I get it on her end, but you know what? When you're making millions of dollars, I know it's annoying. I know you answer the same questions. I know you need a mental health break, but if that's part of the rules, and that's part of the rules. Now, could you look at changing the rules? Absolutely, which is what tennis is saying. But, bottom line is that she was obligated to do that, and she didn't. And so that was her choice, and that's where it ends. It's not tennis should cave to her because the floodgates open, and then nobody wants to speak to the media. So I hope she takes care of herself. Maybe she just needs to step away from tennis for a while. It's not if she's fine playing tennis but not fine dealing with the media.
She's fine playing tennis in front of maybe sometimes 8 to 10 or 15,000 people.
Right, but not doing the media thing. Well, I'm sorry, but that just kind of goes hand in hand. And so if you're one of those people that's like, yeah, let's do away with the media, then don't complain 2 years later when no one's talking about Naomi Osaka or women's tennis. You know what I'm saying? So it's a give and take relationship. Some people ruin that relationship. There's a lot of bad journalists out there. There's not a lot of great. There's also a lot of athletes who aren't that great with the media either, and it's on their end that they're not great. So, there's give and take. I totally understand her frustrations, but I totally understand tennis saying, well, we're not going to totally bend our rules, and I understand the media being a little upset.
And look, if you totally bend the rules, then you wind up with someone like Kyrie Irving.
Exactly.
You wind up with Kyrie Irving, who, is, by all accounts, on a positive sense, a very deep, thoughtful person, although he's a little nuts.
I think just the fact that he talks and says things that don't make a lot of sense.
But look, everyone's concerned about war, and what's going on in the Gaza Strip is all terrible. But when you're in an NBA press conference, I'm sorry, when somebody asks you about how the Nets played, you don't go, well, I'm just concerned about what's going on in the Middle East. Dude, we all are. But these people have a job to do to write about the game you just played. So just answer their questions. Go. It's easy. It's not hard. It's You don't even have to give good answers. You just have to give answers.
Yeah. It's really...
It's a test with no grade.
Exactly. You could go and give one-line answers and be done in 5 minutes, and if that's too much for you to make all those millions of dollars, then... Man, I don't know.
I agree with both of you in a lot of ways. My concern is that this could be, and I know that she might have, it appears as if she has some things she's struggling with, and you never know what she's dealing with. I also am very concerned that the elite athletes are now going to the point where they are the ones who dictate what is written about them, what is said about them, and what they tell you, rather than those who can investigate and or cover and be critical. Because it's not all happy, joy. You can't have it just where I get to be a great athlete and I also get to control what is said about me, and I'm not going to interview with this and this and this, because then you kind of become a fraud. Mm-hmm. You kind of become a fraud because LeBron James is a great basketball player. He also has made many points about many things, from social justice to whoever else. But he also has to answer questions about basketball. And if the Lakers lose the series with Phoenix, he's got some answers. He's going to have to answer why. You cannot get to a point where athletes dictate what is said about them or written about them. You have to, I think, and this might, if you don't feel good that day, then don't go. If you don't feel like you need to be in the locker room after an NFL game, take your $10 or $20 or $30,000 fine, but you better have a good reason. Is it worth it? Well, when you're making the kind of money she's making, or anyone pretty much playing professional sports is making, is a $5,000 or $10,000 fine going to hurt you? especially when I think it probably goes to charity or some sort of a cause, and you could write it off.
Well, yeah, I don't like. I think part of the
what is so hard about questions he has to answer?
Nothing. No, it's tennis. I mean, nothing. And granted, look, she first burst onto the scene because of the match she won against Serena Williams, which was
never heard of her.
But I mean, that was right. That's when she burst on the scene. So her career, not to her own intent, is wrought with controversy, and nobody's ever taught her how to deal with that. Clearly.
Well, the controversy wasn't Naomi.
No, but
the controversy was Serena being a big whiny baby.
Yeah, but yes. And
that's, by the way, never happened before.
So now she's got this formulated opinion of what's supposed to happen, and no one's ever really probably dealt with it with her, and then just let it get worse and worse and worse. And look, if she needs to step back, and if she, I'm not clear on this, if she asked the French Open, look, can I just pay the fine and not do this? And if I was the French Open, I'd be like, all right.
Yeah.
But then that's fine. And then you just say that and say, look, she's going to pay the fine. She doesn't want to talk to the media. Take that accordingly. And then you can ask her about it when she's ready to talk about it. But instead, here's where I lost track with the French Open is, look, if she didn't want to do it and she had a problem, and she was willing to pay the fine, you doubling down on it made it worse. They should have been like, here's the deal, and they could have been over.
The word default got into play, right?
Yeah.
About whether or not she would show up or whatever. I don't know. There's a debate. There's going to be some that defend her. There's going to be some, and I'm talking about just from fans to media, whatever. My biggest concern is you may have anxiety speaking in front of somebody. These press conferences and media sessions, they can linger too long. There's no question. There's always somebody that wants to ask one more question. That's up to those who control the media sessions to make sure they don't linger and go too long. You're playing in front of thousands and thousands of people, doing what you do really well, and you're one of the elite players in the world. And I feel like there's a responsibility that you should also face the media. And if you are struggling mentally, take a break from the game and go get yourself some help.
Yeah, I mean, the media is part of the game, whether you like it or not. And people are trying to make this a media versus Naomi Osaka thing, and it's really not that at all. I don't think it's that at all. I mean, in some ways, but that's not really the big picture story here. Right. And that's what some are trying to make it. But no, it's not. And I mean, again, mental health is very valuable, and it's something that does need to be focused on. I do worry sometimes, though. I feel like everybody's got mental health issues. And I feel like, everything we see now, it's like mental health. It's almost become convenient to cite mental health in some ways. And I'm not saying that people don't have mental health issues or anything like that, but I mean, I don't know. It's weird how that's kind of turned the corner, and it's kind of a convenient thing to be able to say at any time if you just want to avoid something. You know what I mean? And so it's hard to tell what is really what, but I mean, as far as she goes, I understand her position, but I also understand she's who she is because she's a great tennis player, but also because the media has broadcast her great talents to the rest of the world. So there is a give and take there. Tennis better not bend over and, just completely fold the way they've always done things because of this one incident, because that's basically what every other company does nowadays, and that's not the right direction to go, is just to fold every time there's a crisis or a disagreement. There's another way to be able to handle this with her. But, I'm with you on the whole athletes. I mean, look, they can't make any more money than they're already making. Oh, wait, they can. But they already make plenty. And, yes, they give a lot off the court and do all that. But it does seem like there are a few athletes out there that are kind of pushing for let's get rid of the media entirely and just be able to be in their stadium and play their games, and the fans can't say anything bad about them. That'll probably be next. I mean, there's already fan incidents, but those are, valid. But yeah, it just feels like everything for the athlete, every single thing possible.
Rafael Nadal, Rafi, and Ash Barty, number one ranked player. They have respect for her right to take a stance, but explain that they consider speaking to reporters as part of their job. She was fined $15,000 for skipping her post-match news conference Sunday after her victory, and then, of course, drew a warning from the Grand Slam tournaments that she could face stiffer penalties. That's when they kind of doubled down, including disqualification, suspension. Now, just fine her. 15. Guess what Aaron Rodgers had happen to him last week when he didn't show up for the OTAs? I believe he was fine. I know some of them are voluntary. I get those mixed up.
He made a choice.
That's exactly. Right? He knows
he made
exactly
a choice.
What his
He's
choice
going to get
was.
fined when he doesn't show up to OTAs,
and might get it all back if he gets a new contract or something.
But he made a choice, and that's fine. And I think that's where the French Open messed up. If she made a choice to take those fines, give her the fines. Let her stay there and play. But when they doubled down, they made the situation worse. They made the situation worse. Now, Naomi Osaka, to me, is not innocent in this. It's not like, she's not a complete victim. But, the French Open messed up. They could have handled this a whole lot better.
So maybe she could have as well. I know you're not allowed to criticize, and when someone does bring that up, and Craig, you're right. I think she does have some. I think maybe the fame came so quickly, and that can be. We've seen Hollywood people just crash and burn because of it. But at the same time, there's a responsibility, and some could be disagreeing with that. But you never would have.
There is though. That's why there's fines in place. Because it's an obligation. That's why she got fined in the first place.
Every day at 3, we have to be here. Now we have days off. We have vacation. We have Memorial Day yesterday. One of the few times we've taken off a day. But we have a responsibility. And if all of a sudden we just stop showing up, and by the way, I'm about to leave on Thursday, but we start showing up and we don't give a reason, or we don't let people know. Yeah, there's a problem. There's a consequence with that.
I'll just tell you. We had a guy back at the radio station who one day called in sick, and then 5 days later had still not told us if he was sick or not. There were consequences to that. I know you're sick, but after 5 days, unless you're in the actual hospital and you weren't, then you got to let me know. And even then, it's nice to get a text hey, still out.
Yep. Jacob deGrom, we brought him up, Craig, last week, one of your off the radars. You don't have this today, do you?
No.
All right, to give a follow-up on him, his earned run average is right now .71. That's the lowest through May for any starter since 1964. Remember, Bob Gibson, I was old enough to remember this, or was young enough and old enough, 1968 at a 1.13. Jake deGrom, the first time a batter faces him, hits 164. The second, now remember, it's usually the opposite. Mm-hmm. The second time a batter faces him, the batting average is 138. The third time deGrom faces a hitter, and again, remember, it's supposed to be the opposite, it's .063. He gets better against them instead of the opposite.
It's got to be upsetting to Mets fans that they're not better right now.
Aren't they in first?
But they yes, they are. But they're not that
I know.
You watch them, and they're probably in first by the grace of Jake deGrom.
Thank you, guys. I sent that to you. Sorry. Look at that. That is insanity. Mm-hmm. A 164 in itself. Then it goes down a .71 earned run average. Now, one game, if he was, which would be oh my God, give up 4 runs in 7 innings, that would pop a lot of things. But it's incredible how dominant he has been.
Well, he throws 101 without breaking a sweat. And then he has a 93-mile-an-hour slider.
Yeah, which is like somebody's fastball. When we come back, Aaliyah Miller headed to Eugene, Oregon, the national championship, track and field, along with some of her teammates. And she will join us next by Zoom on SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They've got a lot of great deals going on, but then again, when do they not have a lot of great deals going on at Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac? They've got a lot of savings for you to go and take advantage of right now. It's approaching summertime. I was doing a little bit of traveling this past weekend. Travel is back, and so are the savings. So the Memorial Day savings event. Get back on the road with sophistication and luxury of a Buick. Richard Carr is loaded with Buick SUVs. You can save $5,900 on a 2021 Buick Encore. You can save $4,500 on Encore GXs. You can save $3,900 on midsize Buick Envisions. They also have the Buick Enclave, a.k.a. the perfect family travel vehicle with space, luxury, and affordability. It's got 3 rows of first-class seating and a smooth, quiet ride. And right now, you can save $8,500 on all 2021 Buick Enclaves in stock. Richard Carr also has a bunch of premium pre-owned cars and trucks. All pre-owned cars and trucks are priced to move during their Memorial Day savings event with multiple cars priced under $200 a month for qualified buyers. And Richard Carr is your local Waco family dealer. They take pride in serving their neighbors, and they want to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes, and superior service after the sale. So come by their clean and disinfected showroom to take a test drive, or let them bring the test drive to you. It's the Memorial Day savings event going on all month at Richard Carr.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
All right, Baylor track and field, men and women had a very productive weekend. Headed now, a big chunk of them, athletes headed to the NCAA championships eventually in Eugene, Oregon. And Aaliyah Miller, 800-meter 4x400, joins us with Paul, Catalina, Craig, and David Smoak on SicEm365 Radio. How you doing, young lady? You doing well?
Yes, thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you, and thank you for showing up with us on Zoom so we could watch you and kind of hear from you and understand you. You are on that Tribune, that Baylor article, about an article basically you wrote about yourself. How much fun, or was that difficult to do?
I think it was kind of a little difficult. I didn't realize, I guess, how much was in my story, being here for 5 years, but it was really nice to reflect on, all my time being here at Baylor.
Can you imagine if Baylor had not been a part of your life?
Yeah, no, I really cannot imagine this school. I mean, they've impacted me so much in the best of ways, and I feel like I've grown as, a great individual, and just, looking forward to all that I can just, give back to the school later.
How much different are you now on the track, than you were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago as you head to nationals?
Yeah, I think the confidence is there. I feel like I've, really did a lot of self-reflection, and I feel like I'm a good place mentally and physically, and just, really enjoying the entire process of it, not looking at it as something that's stressful, but something that I enjoy to do. And it's just been really fun to have, great people along the journey with me.
Aaliyah, there's always a story of adversity in every single person's life, whatever anyone might do. You have a few, don't you? And injuries or other things along the way. Which has been the most difficult for you to overcome?
I guess I would say my foot injury I had my freshman year, that really just put a halt at, my outlook of what I thought my journey was going to be. But, through that, I learned that not everything is how you envision it, and to just really trust the process and trust God's plan that he has for you. And I think that just kind of just showed what happened to me in my life. And I'm just so thankful, for all the highs and all the lows that happened. I really couldn't change it, because it just wouldn't put me in the position that I am in today.
Is that the vernacular injury, the bone injury?
Yes. Yeah.
Did it even put more, I don't know if the word is stress on you, but because you were so highly acclaimed coming out of high school with what you had done, did you almost feel like a sense of you had to live up to those expectations?
Yeah, and I feel like coming in as a freshman, you kind of have a new slate, but obviously you're always compared to what you've done in the past, and I really wanted to live up to it. I didn't want to be someone who was just, a high school wonder who did things great in Texas. I wanted to be known as, a national contender that, can get a national title and even compete on, U.S. teams. So it was really nice to just be back up at that standard and race confidently like that.
Well, you seem to be there this past weekend. You 202.13. You won by 2 seconds, and you kind of slowed it down at the end. You could have won by 2 or 3 more. What was that like to be so dominant? It looked like from the beginning, when everyone kind of merges together, that you were in control of that race.
Yeah, I mean, that was the plan. I just wanted to race confidently and strong, and really just solidify my training and, race plans, and making sure that I'm ready for, whatever happens at nationals, and then 2 weeks in the Olympic trials.
All right, so when you set school records and you have that, is that your new baseline for a minimum? How does that work in your head when you're running? Like, okay, I've set this record, I've got to beat that now, or is that you're like, at least I have to do that again and again?
Yeah, I think there's just something I kind of focus on every single race. It's not really mostly times, it's just executing, my race plans, how I'm feeling, and making sure that through each, part of my race, I'm still pushing and surging and, not staying lazy in the head and just staying focused.
All right, so I'm watching the race, and it takes you 2 minutes to run, it takes most everyone else a lot longer than that. But you dominate the race, and you're up by 2 or 3 seconds, which in track and field is a long, long time. How do you know? Is it the feet that you hear behind you? Could you feel someone breathing? How do you know how someone might be either close to you or getting closer to you?
It's kind of funny. Sometimes you can hear people breathing, or you can feel, I guess, their body. But for me, I always look at the shadows. So I thought someone was on me, but it was actually my own shadow. So that was kind of funny.
So that's kind of an instinctive thing that because you have had to trail some people before in your lifetime, because you haven't won every race you've run, although you're close to that. But can someone fool you a little bit?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why you always have to be aware of your surroundings. And, times when I take it out fast, I am running blind. So it's kind of like you're making it up kind of behind you of who's around you. And, it's helpful when I have my coaches telling me who's around me, and, making sure that I'm staying engaged on the track, making decisions, and then also like reconnecting with my coaches. I only have 2 laps. So, if I miss a little cue, it's kind of hard, but yeah, that's usually what happens.
A 202.13 was a facility record. What did that mean? Is that you probably have done that at a few other places. Did that mean anything to you?
Yeah, it was really nice. It's really special to get those. It's hard to put down fast times, and to have that, with that stadium. It's a beautiful stadium. It's really nice.
There was a time when I was watching that race where you were the only one on the screen. What you get lonely?
You're funny. No, I don't. I definitely don't get lonely, but it's definitely a different feeling because I know in the upcoming races, like I'm not going to have that. I mean, there's going to be girls that are going to be right next to me, and I'm just hoping that I'm not going to panic and just still race with that confidence and race strong and race smart and just see, where that ends up taking me.
With all of what you dealt with when you mentioned the vernacular injury, the bone injury, has that made this even more rewarding for you in any way?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I remember the last 2 outdoor national meets I went to and just thinking of just the different type of person I was. I was scared of going into that meet racing against big girls, and I'm not scared now. Like, I feel very confident. I feel like I'm supposed to be here, and this is, my time to, put out a fast time and, race confidently and strong. It's a nice feeling. It's kind of like it came in full circle.
How young were you when you knew you were fast?
I ran summer track, so I think around maybe like 10 or 12, I kind of realized that this was kind of my thing. The 800 is not really a race that people just volunteer to run. So it's kind of like I was the sole person always in my track club that would do it. So yeah, I would say early on from there, and then in high school, that kind of solidified it.
But so when you were single digits, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you'd run around, people would say, "Oh man, she's pretty quick." It just came later to you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess because I feel like that's what people always tell the kids, like, "Oh, you're fast, and I feel like it doesn't really set in until you're racing in national meets. Like when we used to go into USATF meets or AAU meets, and I'm racing with girls around the country, like that was kind of eye opening. I was like, yeah, I'm kind of up there. And then going into the high school realm, that's totally different. Texas is huge. We have so much talent, and racing those girls up leading into college, that was also like a blast. But yeah, it's just been really interesting and really cool seeing the different types of levels that I've raced on.
Is there a time that you get in the blocks, and I know when you do the longer races, it's not so much that, but is there a time when you have, I'm not saying that you get cocky or anything like that, but is there a time when you're ready to run, when everybody else knows that you're it, that you kind of feel that sense that they know you're there, and is it a powerful feeling?
Yeah, I would say it's powerful. I mean, I just feel like what's radiating is just my positive energy and just my confidence that I've had with my training, with my coaches and my teammates. I mean, I feel like I've had a really solid training session under me, which I haven't had in a long time. So I feel like that's what's kind of just radiating for me, is just that confidence in my training and my coaches that, I am in one of the best shapes of my life, and I'm just really excited to, showcase it at these meets.
Well, a lot of people have talked about the men's basketball national championship, but you won the indoor meet championship as well. How much did that fuel you, and what was the feeling like when you accomplished that? Because you went like just over 2 minutes. Is that correct?
Yeah. I feel like that had like a bunch of emotions. I mean, there were so many times where I had to sit out, where I wasn't confident, and I took myself out of the race, and I told myself that day, I was like, why not bet on myself? Why not it be me? I feel like the hardest part of getting to a national final is honestly qualifying for it. And I finally made one. So I was like, this is my opportunity, and I'm going to take full advantage of it and, just go out there and get it. If I, blew up and, died at the end, and okay, I gave it my all, but I know I was going to run that race with no regrets.
Yeah, and you have teammates, is Minor, Francis, and Ayers, right, that are a part of the 4x400. How much time do you guys spend together to make sure you get that right?
Oh, yeah. We spend a lot of time trying to, fix handoffs and making sure team chemistry is good, because that's also key to running, a fast time and having a good team to run the 4x4. But I feel like we're pretty close, and we all respect each other's, strengths and weaknesses, and we all motivate each other. So it's a really nice, group to be training with.
How much is it cool your sister's on the team?
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. It's so nice having a little sis there. It's actually funny, too, because we also have opposite schedules. So sometimes we don't even see each other. I mean, it's crazy that we're on the same team and we miss each other sometimes. But yeah, it's also really nice.
I've always wondered this, and of course you're competing for a national title now. You're going to the nationals, but school's been out now for a long, long time. In some sports, that doesn't mean you're done. Baseball, of course, they're just now starting the postseason, along with some other sports that are into the World Series, like in softball, and now you in track and field. What's it like to compete deep into after school has ended a semester?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's exciting. I feel like this is like the elite group of, all the people who are still training, it's really hard track. We have an indoor and outdoor season. We start in January and ends in June. So mentally you're tired and you're drained, but you have to keep pushing. And we have a great group of, trainers and athletes and coaches that just make sure that we're still locked in, focused, and making sure that we're okay. And yeah, it's just been really fun.
Aaliyah, you've mentioned how we saw and we've seen how much better you are even in track and field as you've matured along the way. What about you as a person? You mentioned Baylor and the role, your coaching staff with Coach Harbour, Michael Ford, and others that are a part of the Baylor men's track and field program. What about you as a person? How much different are you than 5 years ago?
Yeah, I feel a lot more confident, I guess, in being proud of myself, where I came from in my journey, not shying away from any of the obstacles that are faced in my life. And I feel like just the support and the guidance that Baylor has given me has just been really a huge part of that. I mean, regardless of what I do on the track, they've cared for me as a person first. And that's something that I looked for when I was looking for a college. So I feel like they lived up to that role, and I'm just so thankful, and it's so special being part of this Baylor family. And it's going to be even more special when I come back and visit and show my family and my kids like this is where I was, and this kind of made me and really changed my life for the better.
And Stacy Smith, among some others that are on the staff. I had someone today tell me, and Baylor's history in track and field with Michael Johnson and obviously with Jeremy Warner, among others, that you are now in the conversation among the greatest athletes in Baylor history. What does that mean to you?
Oh, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, for the longest time, Coach Stacy was the only one who had a women's national title. And right before, my national final, I saw Akira, a freshman, a true freshman, win a title. And I was like, yeah, now it's my turn. You know what I mean? I was like, we're going to keep that fire rolling. It's so nice to put, Baylor on the map and, solidify us as a powerful school who can produce fast times and win. It's really, empowering, and it's really fun. And it was just such a special weekend, something, that we'll always remember.
All right. The 800 meters is speed and endurance. Which one's more important? I know the time matters. That's how you win the race. But which one of those is most important in the 800 meter? Endurance, because again, a second lap, you got to have something special. And yet again, the speed to get there.
Yeah, both are very important, but I definitely think endurance is more important. I mean, especially when you think about the rounds that we're going to have, to keep popping a 202 or 2 flat, round after round that takes a lot of strength and a lot of endurance. So I would say that.
Thank you very much for your time. What's the schedule between now and Eugene?
Yeah, we leave Sunday and I race Thursday and Saturday. So yeah, we got a good week and a half.
Well, it's been a year for national championships at Baylor, so bring home another one, and you already have. And Aaliyah, thanks for your time. Congratulations on what you and the team have done.
Thank you so much.
Aaliyah Miller, Baylor track and field senior. She won the indoor, and now she tries to go win the 800 meter along with what the women have done in the 4x400.
Yeah, very cool, and congrats to her. Hopefully she's able to take it home and bring home some more hardware. But yeah, tremendous athlete. Fun to hear her talk as well, and get to know a little bit about her.
Absolutely. When we come back, Craig Smoak will have his off the radar. I do have one note. You just want to make sure if you're using that or not.
Well, this is gonna be like the longest you've ever given me for this segment, when I have the least I've ever had.
Well, then I'll do this right now. Okay. So Pro Football Focus, which sometimes throws things out there that make no sense to me, but this was cool because it's a local note as well. That doesn't mean their list is right. The top 5 Big 12 players in the conference, from top to bottom. Number 1, Spencer Rattler, quarterback at Oklahoma. Number 2, Nick Bonito, the edge rusher from Oklahoma. I'm going to skip 3. Number 4, Charlie Kohler. That's that big, good-looking tight end, right?
Yeah.
Marvin Mims, 5, wide receiver.
That's based on potential. He flashed last year, but I wouldn't say, based on what we've seen, he's a top 5 player next year. I'd say potentially he is. But I know this is potential, but that's a big potential pick to have him at number 5. Are you kidding me?
I did not even realize, and I guess I missed it, and there's so many players who transfer.
That's a reputation pick right there, is what that is.
Is that Charleston Rambo was not even a part of Oklahoma. Is he at the University of Miami?
Yeah, he's in
Florida?
Miami.
Okay.
In Miami.
And that was surprising to me, because it's not like you just grow great wide receivers, even though Oklahoma does, it seemed like, on trees. Number 3, Travius Hodges from TCU, Midway High School.
I'm not at all surprised that he wanted one of the best players in the Big 12. Like, the only question against him, and it's the only question against his uncle, Ladainian, was he's not very tall. But he is easily the most in control high school defensive back I've seen in the state of Texas covering them. I mean, I also got to see Antonio Cromartie play in college, and Antonio Cromartie is got 6-7 inches.
I saw Bobby Taylor play in high school, but
Travius Hodges, they just didn't throw over there, and then even he still managed to get interceptions.
Yeah, if he got his hands on the ball at Midway in any way, there was a really good chance half the time he was going to score or he was going to take something back. He was a thrilling player to watch. He was also overlooked at times, but he was dominant. And again, here's a size issue, right? Tall enough. Gary Patterson's a defensive all but a genius, correct?
Yeah.
So when he starts to recruit him, he's a hell of a player.
Well, he didn't even really start until Baylor gave him
I know. Well, and LT, let's not think it didn't have a lot to do with it. He did.
Well, yeah, I'm glad that it worked out the way that it did. Travius committed to Baylor, but it was a placeholder. And Matt Rule and staff were not keen on placeholders. And by the time Travius decided he wanted to commit, they didn't have room for him. They didn't. So Travius was fortunate that he had in mind already that he was kind of wanting to wait it out. Because here's what happened for those who don't remember. Signing day comes rolling along, early signing day. He puts up a tweet saying he's committed to Baylor, and then it's gone in 2 minutes. And that we're all like, what in the world was that? He committed, and then now it's deleted. And sometimes that happens because guys have a typo or something. But it was 15 minutes later, and it's still not up. And so, come to find out that, they had run out of room. It was kind of you sign or you don't. And he committed, but committed is not what they were looking for. They were looking for sign. And so that could have worked out really well for Baylor and ended up working out really well for TCU. But I think that's where he wanted to be to begin with. So good for him. And I'm happy for Travius. And I'm not surprised at all that he's having that type of success.
Yeah, just imagine. Again, he in high school.
You got to keep those guys home from now on, though. That size thing was a big issue, and look at him now. Third-ranked player heading to the Big 12, and he's not even a senior. He's a
junior now, coming up on his junior year.
Yeah.
Coming up on his
true junior.
He started against Baylor as a freshman.
Right. So
Baylor won that game in how many overtimes, but he was in that game.
Try to tell people, man. Try to tell people over and over and over again about this kid. And he's too short.
You know what also was impressive about him? It was his ball skills, whatever, his speed when he got the ball. He was strong.
The only thing he didn't have was height. That was the only thing. And it wasn't like he was 5'5". He's short, but that was the only thing you could say he didn't have. And to me, in college football, you don't have to be 6'1" at corner or 6'1" at safety. You'd like that, but damn, some of the best college football players of all time are those guys who thrive in college because they were given the chance, even if they were undersized.
I don't remember the play he made against South Lake Carroll.
Yes, of course.
They're down. They're about to be down further. Inside the 10, and he basically peeling off the top of a can of tomatoes. Strips the ball out and goes 90.
Here's the thing about Travius that I tried to explain. He's a ball hawk. He makes big plays. He has a knack for it that is not taught. I don't care what anyone says. You can teach it to an extent, but ultimately, dudes just have to know how to get the football and make plays, and that kid can do it. And he's doing it right now, and again, I'm not surprised.
All right, we got to take a break. Craig's Off the Radar is coming up next. We'll have David Hellman, John McClain in the 5 o'clock hour. Got some good feedback on YouTube from Scotty on our discussion about Naomi Osaka and much, much more. This is SicEm365 Radio. All of the opportunities you have at Allen Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, even though Memorial Day was yesterday, continue early into this week as well. Discounts, 0% interest, 0% interest on from 72 to 84 months on many of what they have at Allen Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, including Ram truck, always something there. The Lone Star Crew Cab. And on top of that, Cherokee, Jeep Grand Cherokee, the Jeep Cherokee Latitude or Lux, and the Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid Limited. All of these particular cars have incentives and discounts to continue, even though Memorial Day was yesterday, and it continues into the early part of this week. The Mark Vital appearance on Saturday morning, the former Baylor star, was there as well. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar.
All right, welcome back, SicEm365 Radio. Time to take a look at some stories from around the world of sports that maybe aren't high priority per se. Maybe wouldn't even be mentioned if not for this segment. We've been talking about mental health with the Naomi Osaka story. I think we're all very understanding of her position, as we could be in her position, not really knowing it, but also just rules are what they are, and they're rules. But mental health is something that needs to be spoken about. Going back to the old place that used to speak on it on occasion as well. And Washington, the football team, has taken a step in that direction. You talk about athletes and mental health. Well, the Washington football team wants their team to know that mental health is important to them. That's why today they announced the hiring of Dr. Barbara Roberts, its first full-time director of wellness and clinical services. Now, they aren't the first one to hire a wellness director, but it is not like a job that everybody has right now. And so perhaps this is something that becomes a new niche, in organizations, is a personal health, daily mental wellness type of evaluator. Only 7 teams currently have a position that's similar to this one, and she will be only the 4th full-time clinician with a PhD in psychology that works in the NFL. So a trailblazer of sorts. Apparently she's going to introduce daily mental wellness work for players as part of her program. She talked a little bit about her focuses, but apparently Ron Rivera has really stressed the importance of mental health, and so he called her a tremendous resource for the franchise.
I think this is going to, with the advent of social media, it's because people, I think if you were an athlete and you fumbled a ball and, cost a team a game, hey, you suck lasts until you get to your car.
Right.
But once you're on Twitter, if you go on Twitter, if you do that, if you're dumb enough to do, I say dumb enough, if you're bold enough to go on Twitter after you've had a game like that.
It's kind of dumb too, though, you're right.
But I saw Des Bryant do it all the time. Yeah. I mean, I was there when he had his most epic rant after a game when people said he was cheering for Ricardo Lockett's broken neck, which wasn't true and all that. When you do that, you're inviting kind of the demons into your mental health that didn't have before. Not to say that they weren't there, but you're kind of throwing gasoline on the fire. So I'm not surprised that more teams aren't doing this. And then on just outside of depression and anxiety and all the other things you could deal with, as a human being, there's sometimes you get caught in your own head and you get upset or depressed or anxiety because the only thing that's really bothering you in life is that you're not hitting the ball well enough, or you can't catch all of a sudden, or something that you were doing well your entire life, all of a sudden you can't do, you can't run that route. The kicker, has made 75 field goals in a row, and then all of a sudden he misses 6 out of the next 10. All that, the yips and all that, I'm surprised just because of those things, teams don't have somebody on staff at a very basic level, just to help them get over that.
Okay, I agree a lot of what you said, but it now seems as if this can become a default. The mental depression. I love this. I think the Washington football team is starting to get some things.
Well, I mean,
they, by God, it took them long enough. That doesn't mean they're going to win.
You know what though? It was bad enough for a long time. I will credit Dan Snyder, even though he was a terrible owner, but he has He was in trouble. I mean, he had to do things, and he's reacted apparently accordingly.
But I want to go back to what you were mentioning. And I know, Craig, you have many other things, but this thing now, when you go into a slump, that's part of the game. You're going to have slumps,
right? But there's a difference in what was said earlier about how it could. Because people abuse everything. Let's face it. As soon as there's something that looks like it has a little bit of reward at the end, people abuse the hell out of it. So now everything's, because of this or because of that, not just because of the actual issue. So, yeah, there might be some athletes in the future that use the mental health card as a way to get out of doing something. But I think in this case, it's not like these guys are not speaking to press. These are just guys on the team. They're not it's not media stuff.
I think it's great that there's a door they can go open or knock on it or get an appointment and go talk. I think it's fantastic.
People need to do that.
You would think that's an obvious thing that everyone would do anyway, but a lot of people, it's like anything else. You're scared to admit something, especially when you're some high profile or not even, but a professional athlete who's supposed to walk on water.
Yep. So Washington is one of the few trendsetters right now in the National Football League as far as addressing. I don't know why I can't speak today. As far as addressing mental health with their players. I meant to mention this a couple of weeks ago and just kept getting pushed back, but ESPN is back in the documentary game coming in 2022. The Captain, a 6-part documentary on Derek Jeter. It will be from the producers of The Last Dance. Although I've already seen some folks who are saying this is not going to be nearly as in-depth and whatnot as The Last Dance was, probably because of Jeter's personality and how kind of closed off he is. Spike Lee will be the executive producer. Last Dance producers are on board as well. So that will be coming next year. ESPN film, 6-part documentary, The Captain.
Is he going to let people inside of his life the way it will be great if he does?
Well, I mean, that's what Michael Jordan did. That's why it was good. So if he does that, yes.
And you see Jeter doing that.
I can't, given the fact that what we know about Derek Jeter, as far as like kind of the rumor mill goes, is that, look, he was a very driven guy. He was, very dedicated to the team. But off the field, here's what I know about Derek Jeter, is that he has a pretty impressive roster.
Yeah.
He's got a roster. And
he's dates a lot of women.
Yeah, and so that's what people are going to want to know, and that's his personal business. But I'm telling you right now, I'll be disappointed if I don't find out if the gift baskets are real or not.
Yeah, that would be good to know.
The gift baskets.
What do you mean?
You don't know about the gift baskets?
No, I guess
Okay,
I don't.
so the rumor about Derek Jeter, and it is rumor, and it's legendary rumor, is that because he was a man about New York City and a single guy, and he did what I think most athletes in his position should do. He didn't get married until he was absolutely run through every wild oat. Like there were no more wild oats left. I'm getting married, and I'm marrying this swimsuit model, and she's the last one. That was his decision. But he didn't.
What about the gift baskets?
So the gift baskets were when he was out on the town and he would entertain a young lady. When she would leave in the morning, she would get a gift basket.
And
I'm very curious if that's true.
Yeah, just like her.
They would have different thing. The New York Yankees and Derek Jeter, thank you for your service.
You know a lot about him. Were you ever invited to go with him?
No, I wish I was. Right. As much as I hate the New York Yankees as a Red Sox fan, I think Derek Jeter's one pretty awesome guy.
Who would you rather have been a life coach for, Derek Jeter or Tiger?
Oh, Derek Jeter.
Okay.
Less drama with Derek Jeter.
Yeah, it's he apparently has addressed it before, kind of in a non-answering way. He was asked about it, and he just kind of ignored it, as it was smart to do. The Post, when he was playing, used to have all sorts of crazy stories about the gift baskets and the signed memorabilia and all of that, and he pretty much doesn't comment. So there are some who are already anticipating this to be a total bust because it's going to be boring and nothing like The Last Dance, even though those people are involved, because it's Derek Jeter. So we will see. That's going to come up next year. 6-part series called The Captain from ESPN will be headed your way. Saw this from the transfer portal. Texas linebacker Ayodele Adeoye had put his name in the transfer portal. He was a big-time recruit. I think he was out of maybe Missouri or something like that when he was in high school, but a big Tom Herman signing, and played last year, started a bit, I believe, and then announced he was going to be entering the transfer portal. Well, he has now withdrawn his name from the transfer portal. So Ayodele Adeoye either got some really sweet conversation in with Steve Sarkisian, or there weren't nearly as many people interested. So don't know that we'll find out, but he is now going back to Texas, so they have a linebacker back for next year.
I don't have the time, nor do I care enough, but I would love to know a stat. Of the 4 million transfers,
yes,
or those who have entered the transfer portal, I would love to know which schools lead the way with the most leaving, and then on top of that, and it might be 3, which schools end up getting someone to change their mind. I think Texas has had to do this too.
I wonder if the transfer portal is kind of like online dating, where you put your profile up there and you think like, man, I'm going to get a whole bunch. And then you sit there and you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait. People are going to be clicking on this.
And
then eventually you're like,
but you can't be a fake picture or a fake profile if you're an athlete.
No, but the thing is that you put that up there. I'm just talking about just in general. The basic idea of it is somebody puts their dating profile up there thinking like, this is it. My lines are in the water. I'm going to meet the one I love.
And there's no tugs.
And then eventually it's just, you send out message after message after message. Nobody responds.
No, I got a feeling. I think Texas might be doing a pretty good job of when a guy throws his name into it. They're hey, wait a minute.
But I'm just talking about there's so many transfers. There's got to be people just like there's people on whatever.com that have been there for 6 years and have gone out on no dates.
The NCAA or somebody and the coaches, maybe even Todd Berry. They need to find out 3 or 4 stats. How many officially are in the transfer portal since last season ended until the fall starts in August? How many transferred? How many came back? And how many are sitting out there completely by themselves with nowhere to play?
I would like to see a chart with 3 symbols on it. A green arrow up, which means you actually went up a level with your transfer. You went to a better school. A red arrow down means you actually went down from, let's say, Clemson to Texas State or something, or even SMU. That's a step down from Clemson. And then What was the third symbol I was just thinking of?
Lateral?
I forget. I actually had an idea in mind for that, and now I've completely blanked on it.
They didn't transfer, or they're
No, it wasn't that. It was something else. But anyways, yeah. So you could kind of just tell like who's going up and who's going down, because I would love to see the numbers of who has entered the transfer portal and then gone to a lower situation. Now, it's worked for the former Baylor kids at Sam Houston. I mean, they won a national title, and that's probably where they needed to be, the Eliezer Andersons and those guys. That's probably actually where they should have been to begin with. But I would be very curious to see how many people thought, I'm going to enter the transfer portal, and then ended up at a lesser school.
Fairmont State to Baylor in basketball.
That's a green arrow up, yeah.
But I do think, and I think that should be the true intention of the transfer portal, is to find – you're a college athlete. Mm-hmm. We know you're a college athlete, but you may be a college athlete here, but you can be a college athlete at a level down, and I think that's the good part about the transfer portal. That's why, and that's where that should flourish. But I do think, the thing that worries about it is, like we've talked about at length, is that now it's so much more than that.
Speaking of which, before Craig, the NCAA, there's a story. Fran Fraschilla, one top 40 program, coach told me last week that they will no longer recruit high school players, but will live in the transfer portal. We're like the NBA. We can build through free agency or through the draft. We'll take the sure thing. That was a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not all that's surprising, I guess. Why deal with that? And that's the thing, too, is now you recruit these high school kids, and they have 4 or 5 years to play for you. They have 4 or 5 years to decide they want to go in the transfer portal. And I know it's kind of the risk you run with anybody, and even before these rules were passed, but now it's almost like – it's so widely available that, players are almost expected to do it at some point. Yeah. And I don't think that's good. And, one thing it's done, too, is it's made some guys fat and happy. Georgia, I don't know if you've noticed, but, they sure have a hard time recruiting. They've used the transfer portal to pick up a 4-star tight end from LSU, Eric Gilbert, who's a fantastic player. They've lost some guys, of course, as well, but they also picked up like a 4-star corner from Clemson. They picked up like a 5-star guy from here, and so the rich get richer, and some schools get richer too. But, the transfer portal is definitely interesting.
Of the players, and I know we're up against the top of the hour, and you might have 1 or 2 more stories. Siaka Ika is from LSU. That's for Baylor. That's a gem. The offensive lineman from Buffalo, they were really good running the football. That's someone going up a level to a Power 5 rather than a group of 5. And there's a couple of others. They've done a pretty good job. I wonder if the transfer
portal...
Drew
Estrada going up.
Drew Estrada, yeah, absolutely. I wonder if the transfer portal for Baylor can help them not always be a part of that conversation, or rarely a part of the conversation for 4 and 5 stars.
Yeah, I just think there will be a lot of red arrows on that chart. And finally, this is not so much off the radar, but I don't know that we're going to mention it. So tonight, NHL, Tampa Bay, Carolina, Game 2. Lightning lead that series 1-0. There will be 2 games tomorrow night, but only 1 game tonight in the NHL. So I've enjoyed the Stanley Cup playoffs immensely. And I look forward to seeing Carolina and Tampa Bay.
How about
Game
the
2.
Maple Leafs? You're going to talk about this? The Maple Leafs just falling flat on their face up 3-1 over the Canadians. Canadians, sorry.
Yeah, Paul, get it right.
Yeah.
3 down. They were down 3 games to 1 in hockey. And they came back.
Clearly.
The Canadians beat Toronto.
Well, I mean, that's a blood feud. Like that's they hadn't faced each other in the playoffs in ages, and so this was a huge deal, especially in Canada, where it's hockey night, and for the Leafs to fall to the Habs of all teams, but to do so with the 3-1 lead, that's devastating. Like that's crushing for that fan base. So that's a tough pill to swallow for sure.
Okay, now. Of the 4 major sports, which sport has had the least or the most amount of teams come back from 3 games to 1 down in the playoffs? Obviously, it would not. That's the only time you'd.
I would think baseball.
Baseball, 14 times teams have come back from 3 games to none down, including one that was 3-0. In basketball, 13 times.
Okay.
In hockey, 30 times. And then after that, those are the 3 major. Is there another major? Of course, there's another. That's the NFL. They don't have that.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Yeah.
Would you want to play a 3-game series against the
Craig's
Patriots?
over here telling me to bring in the left.
I'm trying to because it's 5:02. And then tonight in the NBA, trio of games: Boston and Brooklyn, 6:30 on TNT. Boston leads that series 3-1, so they can clinch a deciding Game 4. Portland and Denver, and Lakers and Phoenix. That series tied at 2. That'll be tonight at 9 on TNT.
When we come back, David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com, John McClain at 5:30 as well. 254-339-1122. If you have information you want to pass along to us or more sharing with what Craig mentioned or even some of the interviews we've had, we'd love to hear from you. This is SicEm365 Radio. IdealMRI.com, title sponsor of this show, the Central Texas Marketplace, Dr. Rob Maxey. I got an email from him. I'm having a screening tomorrow about my liver. Not that anything's wrong with it, because I feel like I'm in incredible shape, but they are now starting to look and give screenings for fatty, Paul, you know the word of it, fatty tissue on your liver. It happens. It's part of, maybe it could be your lifestyle. It could be just something that you have. It's like you might see somebody that looks like they're in great shape, but their cholesterol could be high. It could be a hereditary thing. But the fatty liver tissue, there's now screenings available at Ideal MRI. One, the first thing they do is they have an MRI machine, a state-of-the-art technology, to help you find out why something hurts so badly, a muscle or a ligament. So your doctor, orthopedic surgeon, whoever wants you to get an MRI, you tell them, Ideal MRI. Save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on average. $497 is the highest you'll pay at Ideal MRI, and sometimes less, and they'll help you with insurance. On average, an MRI can cost $1,100 or more. Number two, they also can help set that up by going online, idealmri.com. There's not a huge, long, big room with 20 names in front of you before you get to go get your MRI. That's what they do, and that's what they've been doing. That's what they do well. But now they're also doing screenings for fatty liver tissue on your liver, fatty liver tissue. And they're doing screenings right now. You can contact them. I'm doing that tomorrow just to go through the process to pass it along to you at idealmri.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com.
Prescott going end zone. It's caught for the touchdown. Dalton Schultz.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, this 5 o'clock hour, John McClain in the next segment. These podcasts, of course, segments available on YouTube, also on SicEm365.com and the various parts of the website. David Hellman joins us. DallasCowboys.com on SicEm365 Radio. David, I've been watching kind of back and forth with some of the members of the media in Dallas. We've discussed Naomi Osaka and her decision of what she, eventually withdrew from the French Open. What have you looked into that much or talked much about it in the Dallas and Fort Worth area among others in the media?
I've had conversations about it just in my life because it's my job and it's obviously something that pertains to me. I haven't really formulated a take on it. I think, I'm probably boring for talk radio in that regard because I take a very practical approach to everything, or I try to at least. So I do see both sides of it. Obviously, access is important for our jobs and for fans trying to gain a better understanding of the teams and the people that they follow. But I absolutely respect Naomi's right to look after her mental health. And especially, during this year with Zooms and web press conferences, it can feel a little dehumanizing at times. So, I absolutely understand where she's coming from. And, there's got to be a middle ground where obviously access is important, but I think we far too often lose sight of the fact that professional athletes are human beings. So, and college athletes as well, for that matter, athletes in general. Like I said, I think there's got to be a common ground. I can kind of see all sides of that argument. I don't really have a great answer for it.
David, you wrote about Blake Jarwin on the site this week on DallasCowboys.com, and he's coming back. Dalton Schultz had a surprising year with really very little expectation on Dalton Schultz. I think a lot of people had kind of been like, well, he kind of is what he is at that point, and he had a very good year. He fit into Mike McCarthy's offense very well. How does he fit, and how do he and Blake Jarwin fit together in Mike McCarthy's offense with all these healthy people coming back?
Maybe I'm... I try not to be biased because obviously you get to know these guys and Blake is a super good dude. But I just think the glimpses that we've seen from him over the years that he's been on the team, I am sky high about what he can be if he gets to play a full season. And in my opinion, Dalton Schultz's success is just a testament to that because all due respect to Dalton, I think Blake Jarwin is a better athlete and a more dynamic downfield threat than Dalton Schultz. And so, for Dalton Schultz to put up 600 yards, despite that, I think that just offers you a glimpse of what Jarwin could do if he saw that. And fortunately for the two of them, like a lot of other old school coaches, like Mike McCarthy has always loved 12 personnel, getting two tight ends on the field. They did it a lot last year. It was a staple of the time that Jason Garrett was the coach. It'll be interesting to see how they balance those two tight ends with all the wide receivers that they have. But I absolutely think there's plenty of room for both of those guys to have a role. And like I said, if Blake's healthy for a whole season, I really think he could be a breakout type of performer in an offense like this.
So, David, I've been traveling a little bit. I had seen something yesterday about, Malik Hooker and the Cowboys and was reading, I guess, when I arrived here earlier. Was that just a bunch of nonsense, not really anything to that at all, just more rumors, I suppose?
I don't want to go as far as to say it's nonsense. They visited with him. What I heard was that at that point in time, at least, they weren't sold on it from a medical perspective. Malik Hooker is a guy that's had a lengthy injury history. And obviously, they signed DeMonte Kazee, who's dealing with an injury of his own coming back from a torn Achilles. So I think maybe they figured, maybe we take a chance on one of these guys. Or it seems like, and not just the Cowboys, every team, you kind of look at your roster and evaluate, okay, like, are we ready to go into training camp with just what we have? And safety is an obvious situation where they don't have a ton. They got, Donovan Wilson, they signed Kazee, and they also signed Jaron Kearse to a very small deal, but these aren't guys that they're committed to at all. So I guess never say never, but I don't have the inkling that that's going to happen imminently, if at all.
I saw a response you had to somebody on Pro Football Focus about the June 1st date when it comes to salary cap considerations, post June 1st releases or whatever else. And you made the comment that Jaylon Smith is more valuable with the Cowboys than what they could get for him. What does that actually say?
It says a lot about what you would get in return in that trade, which, let's be honest, not a lot. That article, it's actually a very informative article, just kind of detailing for anybody that's curious about how that works. To simplify it, the June 1st designation just means that you can spread Jalen's guarantees over 2 years instead of one. So, cutting him before June 1st would cost you, and I'm spitballing here, but something like $13 million. And then, cutting him tomorrow, you can average that out over 2 years, so it hits you for $9 million and $7 million. It's just a bookkeeping tactic. But then, you look at a deal like that. Obviously, Jaylon Smith is a very expensive player, and he didn't play like he was worth it last year. So what is the team going to be willing to give up? Pro Football Focus theorized that you could maybe get a 5th-round pick for Jaylon Smith. Again, because who wants to take on a lot of money for a not that good player? And my only point is, you can say whatever you want about Jaylon Smith. He's more valuable to the Cowboys on the field than a 5th-round pick in next year's draft. He just is. And that's not to say he played great, but, he's a 5th-year linebacker with 50 career starts and 500 tackles. Like, that is valuable. It might not be it might not be worth the contract that he's on, but that money's already been spent. So, I'd rather have him available to play games than a day 3 pick, which history suggests is likely not going to be worth that much.
Plus, he'll be faster without that extra number on his jersey weighing him down. Like when you go.
Absolutely.
No. It's science. 5 and 4 equals 9.
But it's one jersey, so it's one. It's less fabric on fabric. So that's.
Look, was it? I think it was Dion that said, like, look good, play good. I mean, if anything that can help Jaylon Smith rediscover his old form, I'm all in favor.
Is there any scuttlebutt on veteran quarterback?
The Cowboys have made it really obvious that they're not satisfied by the situation. You don't bring multiple guys in for workouts if you're happy with what you got. And, Mike McCarthy even said back before the draft that they would love to add somebody to the room. My thing is, at this point, who's out there that is definitively better than what's already there? Like I've said a million times, I would have absolutely signed Blake Bortles. And that's not to say that he's great, but, he's started a lot of games. He was on a playoff team. You put him with the talent that's on this roster, I think he could at least help you stay afloat. But, he's in Green Bay now, so it's a moot point. And, I think last time I checked, like, Nick Mullins was still around, but is he definitively better than Garrett Gilbert? I don't necessarily think so. So, like I said, I think they would love to do it. I don't think they have great options right now. It'll be interesting. Like I said, teams love to shuffle their depth before training camp. Maybe if the right veteran came available before camp, maybe they would make a move. But I can't think of very many guys that are available right now that are definitely better than what they have.
When you look at the Cowboys receivers and who they have and how deep they are at that position, is Michael Gallup appreciated enough?
Oh, you chose my favorite topic. I mean, I definitely don't think so. Like, I feel like I'm kind of driving that bandwagon that Michael Gallup is a lot better than he gets credit for. You know, he never gets mentioned by the national outlets the way that Cooper and Lamb do. And I mean, you know, I think people are mainly trying to trade him because they've already resigned themselves to the fact that he's too good to re-sign here. But my whole thing is, you just never know. Like the degree to which things can change in a year in this league is insane. We see it all the time. And you know, Amari's guarantees are done next year. You know, you can cut him starting next spring with incurring very little cost to the team. And that's not to say that I want to do that, but everybody always tries to write these storylines a year in advance, and it's just a mistake. Like we'll see how it plays out, but yeah, I mean, I think Michael Gallup is very underrated by the NFL at large, and if I had to guess, he's going to set himself up for a very nice payday next year, whether that's here or somewhere else.
And to follow up on that a little bit, I think a lot of people, you know, early on with Andy Dalton, they didn't really have a rapport, and then they got one later on. But like he and Dak, I think maybe of all the receivers, seem to me to be on the same page more than anyone else.
I mean, there's definitely something to that. They're buddies. They work out a lot. They get along great. The funny thing, I mean, the Cowboys were throwing so much because they were behind last year. Like, everybody had a great rapport with Dak before he got hurt. I mean, and again, it definitely wasn't sustainable because of the weird types of games they were playing. But all three of those receivers were on track for like 1,200 yards or more if that had kept up, which, you know, it wasn't going to, but it's just a testament to how reliably Dak was getting the ball to all of them. But yeah, I mean, I think there's probably something to that. You know, Dak and Gallup have had a pretty good little chemistry for a few years here now.
David Hellman, thank you very much. David, appreciate your time.
Thanks. Appreciate it, guys.
David Hellman, SicEm365 Radio with us from DallasCowboys.com. And
I mean, there's not a lot of options. I mean, you know, I actually was looking at a list of free agent quarterbacks, and it hasn't even been updated because it's still had Jameis Winston listed, and he made his decision a while back to stay with the Saints. But there's RG3. There's let's see, is Brett Hundley available?
Yeah, and they've had him in twice.
Yeah.
And
oh, that's right. Yeah, they have. Brandon Allen, Matt Barkley. I mean, yeah, you're looking at kind of the same crop of guys who are probably about third stringers, maybe backups, but your opportunity for, you know, the Andy Daltons and those types, that's pretty much gone now.
Yeah, and look, I think RG3 would be a fantastic option for the Cowboys, except for the fact that I know what their hang-up is. It has nothing to do with his ability. It's his ability to be available because, you know, when he did...
Why do you need a backup quarterback? As insurance.
Yeah.
So if your insurance is somebody, unfortunately, that sometimes is hurt
and he got
injured.
He got to play for a good stretch last year, and what happened at the end of it? He got hurt.
Yeah.
You know, and so you know, that was always the one knock on him was that look, he still to this day is built like a hurdler. You know, he's got a track body and a football body, and you know that. And look, Cam Newton's been plenty hurt, and he has an American Gladiator body. So you know, sometimes it's just the amount of physical punishment you take. So I would love to see Robert get a shot there, but again, let's not be foolish enough to know why that probably hasn't come around for him yet, because teams are worried about his injury history.
Yeah.
Outside of that, like, there's no team in the NFL that's worried about his ability. Not one. They know what he can do. They know what his arm can do. They know what kind of passer he is. They know what he can do, especially in a backup role. They know what he can do in the locker room. They know what he can do as a backup, and especially, you know, to a younger quarterback.
And he's separated long enough from all the drama of what was said about him in Washington to where
he's 30 now. It's different.
Ask Baltimore what they thought of him.
Yeah.
Even though he's not there anymore, they liked him enough to bring him back for a second year.
Yeah, and
that's a pretty stable franchise.
Yeah, that's you know, that's what it is. It's just they're worried that, you know, the backup quarterback's not supposed to get hurt. I mean, what happened to Andy Dalton last year was kind of a weird outlier, you know, and his team had kind of quit on the whole season at that point, and he got cheap-shotted and was out for a while.
All right, when we come back, 5:22, John McClain will join us here momentarily, and we'll check in on the Crawford softball team as they began their semifinal game against West Sabine.
I wanted to make mention, you know, all these fans being back. Watched AEW, the wrestling company that I like. No, most people don't care, but I did watch. They had a pay-per-view. this past weekend. It was in Jacksonville at Daly's Place, which is like a concert venue that's connected to the Jaguars headquarters. And the wrestling company's owner is Tony Khan, son of Shad Khan. But they had fans back, full attendance for the first time.
I saw they had a couple of guest stars.
Yeah, they did have Urban Meyer and Charlie Strong actually appeared. Yeah, Urban Meyer and Charlie Strong appeared during the main event with Chris Jericho getting involved in the Jaguars coaches' offices. Charlie Strong was throwing footballs to Jericho, who was then pegging MJF, his opponent, with them. I think at one point Urban Meyer or Charlie handed over a laptop computer that Jericho then smashed MJF with.
Oh, that makes sense. I saw a tweet that said, "Was that Cam Newton's laptop?"
Yeah, it was like that's what it was. It was either Urban or Charlie, but Charlie was like throwing footballs to Jericho, and he was throwing them at him. But one of them handed the laptop, and I can't remember. But I was just gonna say, that's one of those things you realize it was sports, but I've been saying with wrestling as well. Like, just the fans, man. It made what was probably a good show a great show, makes what good games great games, and it's incredible the difference that the fans make.
As long as they are at least civil and not idiots.
Well, yeah, the wrestling fans did not run out of the ring or do any of the NBA stuff that we've seen over the last few games, that's for sure.
Crawford and West Sabine are scoreless into the bottom of the sixth inning. West Sabine is the home team, so if they score in the bottom of the sixth, they'll win in the semifinals and move on. Right now, each team has one hit in that game. And Crawford, again, just came out of the top of the sixth inning without any runs. Scoreless into the bottom of the sixth. West Sabine, in fact, is now up to bat. We'll update that if that thing ends or goes extra innings. This is SicEm365 Radio. PettyClinicLowT.com, committed to providing men the most innovative, high-quality health care available, providing unique services dedicated to men, which allows same-day appointments, 24-hour and 7 days a week access to Dr. Petty via office visit, virtual telemedicine visits, phone visits, secure text or email. Dr. Petty, board certified in primary care, eager to discuss the exciting new wave of comprehensive health care with you in a greater, position to get and feel better. How does he do it? Well, he'll get you set up with lab work. Why would you want to get the lab work? Well, as you get older, one out of every 3 men have symptomatic issues when it comes to low testosterone. You also, as you get older, are more and more susceptible based on prostate cancer that can happen. Maybe you are fortunate and that never is an issue, but there's nothing wrong with getting that level tested as well, or at least get the results. So contact Dr. Petty, PettyClinicLowT.com. He will set you up the lab work. You go get it. He'll look at the results and then be in contact with you. And if your testosterone levels are too low, he could put you in a program to increase your testosterone levels so you could become the high-performance man you want to be. Whether it's energy, work ethic, sleep issues if you have them, and, yes, also what happens with ED and your sex drive. PettyClinicLowT.com.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed. Smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Alan Samuels is holding the Ram Spotlight Sales Event on the new 2021 Ram Lone Star Crew Cab trucks at Alan Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year is built to serve. Right now, get total values up to $6,750 for 0% for 72 months. Great opportunities during the Ram Spotlight Sales Event at Alan Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco. Come and see the Ram Lone Star Crew Cab. The Ram Spotlight Sales Event won't last long. Visit Alan Samuels today or online at AlanSamuelsDCJ.com.
Come by, let's be friends.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
West Sabine did not score bottom of the 6th at Crawford West Sabine extra innings. 2A semifinals. Scoreless into the top of the 7th. And there's a pretty good debate going on with some guys that we know: Chuck Cooperstein, Tim McMahon, media members. What was that? What was that? Extraneous audio.
I think it was probably just
okay. So there's a kind of a nice little debate going on this Naomi Osaka, which is good. It's healthy. Jeff Kavanaugh works at 105.3. I on occasion pick up what they're saying if I'm driving around, whatever. If you require athletes to answer a bunch of generic questions after they perform in order to do your job, perhaps work on figuring out how better to ask to be better at your job. Tim McMahon, your show should go a week without mentioning any information that comes from the media availabilities just to prove your point.
What a dumb question, or what a dumb statement.
Jeff then goes, and this is positive. These guys are all good people. There would still be lots of audio. A lot of people want to or don't mind talking. But if you promise me that was better for the life quality of players, I'll do it. Media arrogance is so wild. All right, well, I mean, I know we've said this. Chuck Cooperstein's, one of his responses was, in other words, what you're saying is if you don't think athletes should interview or be interviewed or be in post games or whatever, or media sessions, when will there ever be interviews?
Well, Jeff's statement is, I mean, all due respect to him or whatever, but that's a completely generic statement. I mean, let me go back to what he said about the questions here.
If you require athletes to answer a bunch of generic questions after they perform in order to do your job, perhaps work on figuring out how to be better at your job, you know?
Okay, so who are you talking about? Are you talking about the entire media? Because there's plenty of media that ask really great questions. There's plenty of great questions asked during our interviews. So that's just like a blanket to be a part of the conversation, because that's what a lot of social media is. People see something that's a popular opinion and they jump on it because they want to be with the popular opinion as well. I'm not saying Jeff's doing that, but what is your solution then? Ask better questions. Of who? Who are you talking to? Because you're talking about the entire media when you say that, and that's not
You're throwing
the case.
Blanket over.
Exactly.
And look, there are, and as a person who's sat through a lot of these things, and look, we have, but like it's my personal thing, but like
we don't even enjoy it half the time. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and look, we have group texts among us about like that's a ridiculous question, or like what's the point of that?
Or
like,
this guy's a terrible interview. Why are we even doing this?
Yeah,
I mean let's be honest about it.
Yeah, but I think there's sometimes to the point where they go on too long because you're trying to like plumb the depths of a guy who has no depths. It's just that's what it is. And then sometimes it's the media asks bad questions. You know, I get tired of, hey, take me through that shot in the second half. You're like, well, they threw me the ball and I was open and I shot it. You know, like they don't know. You know, like. You know, there's deeper questions to ask, but at the same time, like there are sometimes things where you ask, okay, I've been in plenty of Cowboys, locker room availabilities where you ask, this is the third week in a row the offensive line has struggled. What do you think is at the heart of that? And you have to ask that question. And they may not know or they may not want to answer it, but you can't just go, well.
What was a question that today I asked Jared Butler?
Oh, about his health.
About his health, because there was a reason why he ended up from Alabama at Baylor. And there's a story out there. And he kind of answered it very quickly. It wasn't something he went deep into. But I would be an idiot not asking him a question about the NBA and some health clearances he needs before he can play in the league or even maybe in Europe. You think Matt Rule at 1-11, who loves to talk, you think that was easy? I remember walking into his office many times. Smoak, I hope one day you walk in here on a Monday after we've won a game. It happened once. Dave Aranda, 2-7. You don't think there's probably a few times in which he would rather have not answered questions? But he's also getting paid a few $1 million a year. That's part of the responsibility, even collegiate athletes, to answer questions. They don't have to be there every day.
And let's get back to in particular the role of the media, because people are making this about Naomi Osaka, and we're not talking about her at all. We're not talking about her even like in the slightest right now. We're talking about just the general story that has now spawned from this, which is it was Naomi Osaka and her mental health struggles and just the debate about what tennis should do and how that should all be handled. And that's really all it was. It's now turned into, because the media and the players got involved, into players versus media. And that's not what this was. That was not the Naomi Osaka story. And so it's already, like every other story in this country, been hijacked by people with agendas. And so now you got people, they shouldn't have to talk at all. And then you got Jeff, who's somewhere in the middle. And I did see one of his follow-ups, and he said, I'm not leading a campaign to not let them talk. I'm leading a campaign to be understanding if they don't want to. And I understand that as well. But, I mean, like, okay, but how do you determine that? It's like, hey, it's after the Super Bowl. Well, Tom Brady doesn't feel like talking. Well, wait, what? But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just it's part of the rules. So either change the rules, but certainly don't go down this road where it's just up to the athlete's discretion anytime they want to talk to the media or not, because then odds are, though, they never will talk to the media. And I know people would enjoy that, but
some didn't.
You think that you would enjoy that, and you don't realize, oh, I just want to watch the games and that's it. You think that, but a lot of the extracurriculars, actually, fantasy football is more popular than most sports right now. You know what I mean? Like, the extracurricular is actually the most of interest. It's the NBA games, yes, but it's more about LeBron off the court and what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I don't know. This is not media versus athletes. It was Naomi Osaka in an individual situation. It has opened up a great discussion, but I don't think the way of going about it is to just do away with it.
There are bad or sometimes unprofessional people in every profession in America, right? There are members of the media that don't do their homework, that do ask questions or ask questions that were asked earlier in the press conference or maybe even earlier that week. There are bad people in every profession. But most of the time, and I've been doing this now 40 years, there are a lot of great names and great players, are great interviewers and great people that ask questions, tough questions. It's hard. It's not easy. You think we like to walk into a media session or a press conference and ask something that's going to be uncomfortable? It's our job, because you know why I ask the question? Two reasons. I want to know the answer, and I want you, the fan, to know the answer.
Well, there's a lot of flack.
Otherwise, it's just message board fodder and speculation.
We've also had to answer a lot of questions. Well, why didn't you ask this question? Well, we already knew the answer, and here it is. It's usually why we didn't ask a question at a press conference, or it's not as relevant as you think it is. But you can see it all sides. There are people who do great work, and then there's the guy, and I just know him because it was in Providence, the guy in the big red sweater. Captain Kangaroo is what we called him. Captain Kangaroo asked the guy, how does Yale out-rebound Baylor? And Torian Prince put him in his place. There's the option for that. The players also aren't defenseless in this. Like that's the other thing about it is look, if you ask a stupid question, be prepared for a player or a coach to cut your legs out from under you. That you served it up. You now have to, wait for the return, and if you can't play it, then that's fine.
Well, let's also just say the Naomi Osaka situation is not everybody's situation.
Yeah.
So to try to make this a sports players versus sports media thing is painting everybody with the same brush, and that's not the case. I mean, this is about her and her alone. Now, if Kyrie Irving has something or someone else has something, that's another story. But I think this has been blown way out of proportion, quite honestly. Surprise. I said earlier at the show, I don't care what Naomi Osaka does, but I do only know her because of the media, because I'm not a huge tennis fan. So take that for what it's worth. But the media did contribute to me knowing who she was, and I otherwise wouldn't. And I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure I'm one of millions of people that would say the same thing, that how'd you first hear about Naomi Osaka? I heard about her on ESPN or on SportsCenter or saw an interview or whatever. So I think there are some things, look, I don't enjoy going to every single media session. I don't. There's times where I would like to not do it. There's times where I know somebody might be talking that might not be that interesting, but hey, it's part of the job. So it's not as though we're all just clamoring to hear from the athlete all the time, but if you're trying to get real perspective, then okay, let's not ask the athlete. Then what happens? Oh, well, they don't know what they're talking about. Why did you ask me? You know what I'm saying? So we can just go in circles on this thing. Bottom line is that tennis didn't handle this very well to begin with, and they let the message get really muddied, and now it's muddied, and now it's been made into something that it wasn't to begin with.
Yeah, I think some fans usually will, in some cases on things like this, will take the side of the athlete until you as a fan want answers of why.
Ask Matt Rule why.
Yeah, exactly. And either you want us to ask the question so we can get an answer that you may dissect the answer, but at least if Mac Rhodes on Tuesdays is with us, and there are questions that some of you say sometimes you don't know how we even asked it because they're not easy. But you want the answers, we're going to ask you. I've always been open to that. You have a question, doesn't mean we will always ask it, but we'll try to get it to you so you can get informed, and so can we. Coming up next, John McClain in the Houston Chronicle.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Pay over qualified buyer with $4,000 down to 2.9% TTNL extra. See deal for details.
Travel is back, and so are the savings at the Memorial Day Savings Event at Richard Carr. Hit the road in a 2016 Buick Encore for only $152 a month, a 2016 GMC Sierra for only $318 a month, a 2018 Mercedes GLA for $334 a month, or a 2015 GMC Terrain for only $135 a month. 100% credit approval is always our goal. It's Memorial Day Savings Event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's a name and a memory that called us back. It's a belief and a labor that will carry us forward. It's a time and experience that will make you return. The new Bear Ridge Golf Club, a space revitalized, a course restored, a new experience. For a tee time today, call the Pro Shop at 254-848-7800. Go to BearRidgeWaco.com, just south of Waco on Highway 84. Come join us at Bear Ridge Golf Club.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Crawford got a run in the top of the 7th now, leading 1-0 over West Sabine in extra innings. West Sabine with 2 on and 1 out in that game that goes to the championship, whoever wins. We're now joined by John McClain, Houston Chronicle. John, we have spent a lot of time, even with a couple of the guests, on the Naomi Osaka story about mental health, about media requirements, and it's just a gamut of different emotions and also opinions. We have ours. What is yours, if you can give us that, if you don't mind?
Well, first of all, mental health is a serious problem in this country, and anybody who has mental health issues deserves treatment, respect, time off, whatever they get, whatever they need, and they should take it off. And I'll say this, I've listened to a lot of people talk about this. The ones that are in the media business that used to be ex-athletes, they don't want to ever have to talk to the media if they don't have to. And it's in like standard NFL players contract. When you sign it, you have to cooperate with the media. Now, you don't have to answer questions any certain way. You don't have to answer questions at all, but you have to show up, because people that promote a product, sponsors, you know, when you have a news conference and people are sitting there and behind them on the wall are sponsors, those are the people paying the salaries of the people playing the game. And the media can do it to the public that pays the attention. And when I say media, I'm talking about print reporters, online reporters, talk show hosts, television. Anybody that broadcasts a tennis tournament is paying rights fees for that, and that money goes to the players. So part of the responsibility is to show up and answer questions from the media. A lot of people don't like to do it. They know it's part of the job. And if it's causing her issues, she was wise to withdraw and seek help for whatever it is. But as a longtime reporter, entering my 49th year in this business, then if you sign a document that says you're going to attend news conferences, you should attend the news conferences, and if you don't, you deserve to be fined because it's written in your contract. And remember, without the media, if you don't show the games or broadcast the games or the tennis tournament, nobody's going to follow them because they're not there for you. If you just had your event and there was no coverage, whether from the TV broadcast or anything, you wouldn't make nearly as much money as they do now because people pay such high rights fees.
John, the Texans last week had their first workouts open to the media. I know that there was a bit of a roster snafu. Did they ever give you guys an explanation of why they didn't put the numbers on the roster that first day?
Of course they didn't, and I'll tell you why they didn't. Because the Patriots did it that way one time, and Patriot paranoia is invading the Texans. Cal McNair, the owner, told us when he hired Nick Caserio, we're not the Patriots South. Well, they just signed another ex-Patriot, Rex Burkhead, a running back who will be 31 in July, coming off major knee surgery. And I don't have a problem with that. They're looking for competition. But the Patriots won the Patriot way because they had the greatest coach and quarterback in NFL history. The Texans do not. And at a time when they're struggling to sell tickets and suites and club seats and sponsorships, you think they would be trying to get positive publicity. Instead, they stumble all over themselves. So they're going to, and they had forever, for some reason, other than the Patriots did it, they have 49 new players, and next to their names on the website was blank. And even though they'd had numbers for months. So anyway, we raised enough cane about it. They changed the numbers. Now their next deal is they've been listing like DL instead of DE or DT or OL instead of OT, G or C, DBs instead of corners and safeties. And we know what those players' positions are. So why do you do it? They do it just to mess with the media because that's the way they do it in New England. Their website used to be one of the best. You could click on it and see everybody in the organization, medical personnel, business, executive assistants, and people took a lot of pride in being on the website. And then some Nimrod came in there and scrubbed it down to the department heads, which makes it one of the three worst in the NFL, one being Carolina. But guess who is the absolute worst? And I'll give you guys one guess.
The Patriots?
Yes. Go to the head of the class, Paul. The Patriots.
John, it seems like there's just, between the roster and the front office, all the changes and hirings happening there. Is there going to be like a welcome, let's introduce each other day to start training camp between all of the changes going on?
Rex Burkhead today is the 50th new player and the 42nd new veteran. And the coaches have had him now for a couple of months. They had him in virtual meetings. Now they have him in-person meetings. So the coaches know him. Somebody tried to say, well, they didn't put names on the rosters because they wanted the coaches to know. And I said, give me a break. The coaches have known these guys for months. It was only for the media. And it was something that made no sense whatsoever. In my 45 years of covering the NFL, I've never seen anything like it. And the only time I ever heard of it was the Patriots did it. And then the Pro Football Writers of America and NFL got involved, and they put the numbers on there. I'd like to see something done here because it's the Texans' way, not the Patriots' way.
John, when you see something, you are the Texans' E.F. Hutton. But I saw your video of what you were explaining. Did anyone from the organization reach out to you out of respect for what you've represented all these years and the fact of all the things you're a part of, all these organizations, and say anything to you?
Well, first of all, they don't give a rat's anything about how long I've been there or whatever I've been able to achieve.
Well, they
should. Because I'm the oldest and I've been around the longest, I kind of think it's up to me to speak out for the TV stations here and the websites and the Chronicle and all the talk shows And so when I did that video, and I made a mistake because I was holding that roster up and I wanted to show how useful it was. So I tore it in pieces and threw it up in the air, and the wind blew it away. And so when we finished, I figured, I better pick this up. I don't litter. And the wind was blowing and my back's killing me. And so every time I'd bend to pick up a piece of that roster, the wind would blow it away. I must have spent 15 minutes picking up the pieces. And every time I bent, I thought, man, how stupid was that?
Look, sometimes things are done for dramatic effect, John. It just is
part of that acting career you've been a part of. Yeah.
John, I want your opinion on this. Big Ben Roethlisberger said that the pay cut from the Steelers was his idea. Am I supposed to believe that, or is that like a thing that a quarterback says so the fans like him more?
Well, first of all, a lot of guys say they take pay cuts and they take a restructure where the money's moved around. They used to say that about Tom Brady every year. That was BS because he would have a restructure, but it wouldn't reduce his income. Well, in this case, Big Ben reduced his income. He said at the end of the season he was going to do it and he would do it, and he did do it. And he said he's made a lot of money, and they had some cap issues. So, yes, he did it. And it was, according to him, at the end of the year when he first brought it up after the season. So I think he did, and they finally got it worked out.
John, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Sic'em.
John McClain, Houston Chronicle, with us on Tuesdays at 5:30. As, again, we wrap up this Tuesday show. And, by the way, again, final Crawford beat West Sabine, and they'll play for a back-to-back state championship tomorrow night in Austin.
Very cool. Good for the Pirates. Are they the Lady Pirates or just the Pirates?
I think
they're the Lady Pirates.
I think it's the Lady Pirates.
Yeah, they're still the Lady Pirates.
They've done all of their various sports. With volleyball, softball. I mean, Crawford's an incredibly very successful athletic department. Golf, things that they've done very well. And, of course, we know their football tradition as well.
Yeah, well, good for them, and good luck moving forward to try to capture another state title.
Play tomorrow night at 7 o'clock for a state championship to try to go back-to-back. One person to follow, and I know Paul's 5 at 5:55 here in just a second. It's Under Full Dissident is his name on Twitter, but H. Bryant 42. Pretty interesting insight, opinion. I don't even know if I agree with half of it. It's just kind of the way he positions a few things. One of the arguments you're hearing about this interview or not is what has happened in our profession. We do a talk show. We try to bring you information. We try to ask the hard questions, and sometimes questions to get the personality out of a Leah Miller or Jared Butler or whoever else. But what has happened in our profession, and some of the guys making the most money in our profession, and I'm not bitter about that, you make whatever you earn and what you're worth, is that too many now times in our profession of the media, it's about clicks and views and not about working to get information to you, the fan. We can have all sorts of, I don't know, have you ever in your lifetime given an opinion on a show that you didn't believe?
No.
Craig?
I can't, I don't do that in general. So,
no, the answer is no. Even if you may think it's an opinion that you're just wanting people to react to it. No.
As far as the fake stuff like skipping that, no, absolutely, absolutely not.
But some of the most highly paid people in our profession who get great ratings and get a lot of the clicks and views and get a lot of people talking about other things is what's taken over a lot of our profession, and it sucks.
But basically what they do is they go to Twitter, they find what people are, and usually it's the least informed amount of the people
I don't even know if they have to go to Twitter, Paul. I just think, what's going to get some excitement out of me today?
But then they're kind of pandering like, I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
And they go,
Like, for example, some that might not even love a certain, I don't even want to give them any more time, but that also is in play here and is a good part of the discussion about the clicks and views rather than just raw, let's ask questions and give you the story. All right.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Brought to you by Slapsticks Comedy Club. June 11th, we're doing one more show at Rogue Media Network. We had one on Saturday night. It was a lot of fun, in spite of a very, very drunk guy in a Texas hat sitting in the middle of the audience.
Can't believe Sarkeesian's already doing that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But Anyway, we had a good time. Always have a good time with it. So June 11th will be that show, and then the club should be opening very soon, and I'll keep you up to date on that. Follow slapstickscomedy.com for ticket information, but June 11th, we got one more show, so put that on your calendar. All right, this is once again from my buddy Matt McBrayer on Twitter. Sent me a big list of top 5s to do, so as they are appropriate. And look, I watched a little bit of baseball this weekend, and Memorial Day weekend's a good weekend for baseball. So top 5 MLB mascots. Number 5, Bernie Brewer. Great mustache.
I wonder why I saw that image somewhere. I guess it was on. Okay, all right.
Great overalls. Slides down a slide into
like. When was the last time you wore overalls?
When I was like 4.
Did I ever do that to you?
I probably had some, but it would.
I would love to see a picture of Craig in some Mosh.
What's the difference in that and a jumpsuit?
There's a lot of differences between that and jumpsuit. Denim for one is a pretty major difference.
Okay, I can't remember the last time.
Yeah. All right. Number 4. I know this is not actually the mascot, but they have the Nationals presidents that run around. You know, they've got Washington, Lincoln, and
How could
Teddy
that not
Roosevelt.
be number 1? I know it's your list
because they're not the actual mascot. Okay, I didn't want to, but I love it. I think it's hilarious. It's fans that do it. I can't remember which is the one that has never won.
Like that they team never against won, the Globetrotters?
Yeah, they've never won. But love that one. And look, you're going to be not surprised that this was on the list. Number 3, Wally, the Green Monster. But he's great. He's great there at the thing. He's very appropriate. They have a green monster. The green monster. They didn't overthink it. It's wonderful in its simplicity.
Yeah, it is. It plays in. I mean, all these mascots start to kind of have I wonder if there's one company that makes the mascot costumes because they all seem like they could be relatives basically. But Green Monster just makes sense.
And Wally the Green Monster, it just sounds like it rolls off your tongue.
Yes. Number 2, this is one of my favorites. When I saw him in person, is Mr. Met. And it's great. I mean, whoever the guy is that is Mr. Met. Maybe it's more than one. I don't know. But whoever the people are that are Mr. Met, and I am in no way a Mets fan, but when I was at Citi Field a couple years ago, this guy was working. I mean, he was working, and people love Mr. Met. Plus, it's a cool memorabilia thing. And number 1, the Philly Fanatic.
Yeah.
I mean, he's and there was some debate over how the contract a couple years ago.
Was he holding out for more money?
They almost lost the Philly Fanatic.
What?
The Phillies and the guy who invented the Philly Fanatic or the people who did it were at each other's throats. Kind of similar to what's going on right now with the San Diego Chicken. So
what happened to that one? Why is he not on the list?
Well, because Bernie Brewer's got overalls and
San Diego
slices.
Chicken's not on the list?
Yeah, San Diego Chicken's
still alive?
Yeah, see, I don't know. I haven't seen him in a while.
This would be a great time for the San Diego Chicken to walk in the door with just a straight look at Paul.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Those weird mascot looks when they
I gotta look that up.
Appear to be serious, kind of as serious as you can look in those costumes, but. Yeah, the Philly Fanatic's a legend for sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Ted Giannoulis, or whatever his name was, is he still with us?
I don't know.
Well, the dates are usually at the top.
He made, I don't know.
Appears that he is.
So, good.
Also known as the famous chicken, KBG. Okay.
But he's not officially associated with anybody specifically, right?
I don't think so.
He was just in San Diego. He started in San Diego, and then he would go other places.
Yeah. He's shaking Ronald Reagan, President Reagan's hand.
Yeah.
God. With Gerald Ford. Unbelievable. Okay, I like him. I think that the president, the monument, whatever they call him.
Oh, the national the Nationals president. I love it. It's one of the most original things that people have come up with.
Need to put that on a Twitter poll.
San Diego Chicken last appeared at the game where Joe West, I guess, became what was that record he set, the longest, whatever the mark he set. San Diego Chicken showed up to present flowers.
How come Morgana's not a part of that list, Paul?
Who?
Morgana.
The
kissing woman that comes flying out of the stands and kisses people.
Oh, she's not a mascot. She's just a lady.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't even know if she's still around. Yeah, she is. She's 73 years old. All right. Now, thanks to our guest today. Thanks. It's great to get Jared Butler on. It was good to have him on. Ashley Hodge, Liam Miller from Baylor Track and Field, David Hellman, John McClain, Paul's 5 at 5:55. Craig's off the radar tomorrow. Back at it. Congratulations to Crawford. Thanks to Hayden. Thanks to Jack. Thanks to Armstrong. Paul and Craig, I'm David Smoak. Thanks to you and our incredible sponsors for making this happen every single day across the board with numerous ways for you to digest us, listen, and watch on SicEm365 Radio.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.